22-year-old waitress Diane Bro is suing 33-year-old human resource manager Cecilia Alvarado for knocking out her teeth with a beer bottle. Cecilia says she acted in self-defense.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 212 on the calendar in the matter of Bro versus Alvarado. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
According to your complaint, Ms. Bro, you and your boyfriend and the defendant were in a local bowling alley. According to you, the defendant liked your boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was an altercation. According to you, the defendant assaulted you by smashing a beer bottle across your face, causing several teeth to be broken, and requiring a substantial amount of dental work.
Correct.
You're suing not only for the dental work, but also for your pain and suffering and lost wages. The defendant said you started it, right?
No, she started it, Your Honor.
That's just what I said.
I know.
Pay careful attention. So, when was this?
August 22nd
Of this year?
of this year,
And what time did this incident occur with the bottle?
about 12:15.
When did you first see the defendant in the bowling alley?
Not until after I returned from the restroom. Ryan was at the bar purchasing a beer, and he was agitated.
At what time?
About 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And I went to the bar to see what he was yelling at somebody, and there she was. I asked her, you know, are we going to have problems every time we see each other? You know, can you grow up? You're 33 years old. And she proceeded to walk away, and we got our beers. We walked over to our table where our friend was, and there she was bad-mouthing me.
Just a second. What was she saying?
She says that she's going to get me and this isn't over, and, you know, I walked up to her. I'm like, can't you understand? You know, we just had a confrontation at the bar. You walked away. She proceeded to push me. I pushed her back, and then she hit me in the mouth with a beer bottle.
Where was he?
He was still at the bar buying our beer.
Stand up. Tell me your first name.
Ryan.
How old are you, Ryan?
I'm 20.
How do you know the defendant?
From like a general circle of friends, and you know we're cool. And
What does that mean?
I mean,
cool. I don't understand.
we talk to each other. We never had problems. You know, we're somewhat friends. And then me and Diane started dating.
Did you ever go out with her
no,
socially?
No, ma'am. And me and Diane started dating, and all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, I can be so much better than Diane. You can live at my house rent free. I'll take care of you." And
had you had anything to drink before midnight?
no, ma'am.
Had your girlfriend?
No, ma'am.
Now, you were at the bar. Had you finished purchasing those beers when this altercation
ma'am.
took place?
Before I could even get them, you know, they were getting into it, and I ran
Just
over.
a second. While she was in the restroom, did the defendant speak to you?
Yes, ma'am.
What did she say to you?
She said, I haven't seen you for a while. What's been going on? And I told her, I was like, this is not the time. I said, Diane's here. You know, things are going to happen if, you know, you're talking to me. We already told you we don't want you in our life, so you need to go. And that's when Diane walked out of the bathroom and seen us and walked up to see what was going on.
And then she had this verbal confrontation with the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
After she had the verbal confrontation, where did the defendant go?
She walked towards the exit door where the table was, where my buddy was sitting, and Diane went to walk over there, and as she walked over there, you know, I was still standing at the bar. Then all of a sudden, I seen security guards run over there. I seen them two going at it, so I ran over there, and...
When you say you saw them going at it, what did you see?
I mean, like, I seen them face to face, and then I seen a struggle. That's all I seen. I didn't see the bottle or anything like that.
Now, can you describe to me your girlfriend's face?
When I seen her, her lip was busted. She's like, look what she did to me. These two teeth were broken, and this one just blood, and you know, and she was acting hysterical.
What do you mean she was acting? What did she say?
And she's like, I can't believe this is going on. I can, you know, just kept talking, working it up, and that's when the security guards pulled us off to the side and said, wait for the officer to get here.
What happened when the police arrived?
They took our statements, and then...
Do you have a police report?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it, please?
I have a police report of the incident that happened at the bar, and also of a phone harassment complaint. After we left the bar, she called and left him 4 voicemails on his pager. We called the officer and had him come back over to my house to listen to the voicemail.
Okay. All right, Miss Alvarado, now let me have your version of the events.
Okay.
my friend and my witness, Tanya, was with me. I was upstairs shooting pool, having a good time with my friends, and I was just done with my beer, and Tanya said, can you go down and get some more beer? And I was like, sure. I also have to go to the bathroom. I go downstairs, and I see Ryan off, not in the bar, he was off on the concession stand, standing there, and he turns to me and says, oh, hey, Cecilia, what's up? I never approached him, Your Honor. Okay?
Just tell me what happened. Not what you didn't do, what you did do.
Okay, and so then he says, I just want to warn you that Diane is here, and she's wants to kick your. And
Can I just tell you?
I then said, you know, I'm so tired of this, of her approaching me. I'm 33 years old. I have, you know, a good job, and I was harassed at work by her, and Ryan used to call me also at work. He would tell me to call him. Here's my pager, Cecilia. Here's my cell number. Call me. And no, and it's true.
Just talk to me, not to her.
Okay, well, anyway, and you know, I'm really upset about this because I have a good job, and I have the sheriff come.
I heard that you have a good job.
Okay.
You're 33 years old. He's
Right.
20.
No, Your Honor, he told me.
Just a second. But you're 33. He's 20.
Your Honor, I was led to believe that he was 22.
22. Okay.
What does, I mean, what does the age matter? I was stuck in a
Let's
situation.
go what happened to 822.
Okay, well, as I turned around, there's Diane right in my face. And she just says, what the, excuse my language, but she was like, what the, whatever. And I'm like, you know, I don't want any problems with you. I had my beer bottle. I had just a little bit of beer in it. I had it in my hand. And I have a scar, a permanent scar on my arm where she grabbed me, pulled me forward, and goes to hit me with the beer bottle over my head. And in the police report, it doesn't even state that I had also blood and a welt on my head.
It doesn't say that, madam.
Exactly.
It does, no, listen to me. It doesn't say that. If the police who took this report were very clear, Miss Alvarado, they observed, according to them,
Right.
a large welt on your hand.
Exactly.
If you had had blood in your scalp and a large welt in your scalp that
Which
you pointed out to them, they would have.
I did.
Why don't you let me finish?
Okay, I'm sorry, but.
They would have included that in the police report.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When did you find out he was 20 years old?
Today.
So now you know. You know that he's a baby and you're not.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 22-year-old waitress Diane Grove is suing 33-year-old human resource manager Cecilia Alvarado for knocking out her teeth with a beer bottle.
So let's continue.
I stepped back, and it was just self-defense. After I had my hand like this, and her beer bottle hit my hand, I was trying to protect myself. And from just a reaction of, you know, someone attacking you, what are you supposed to do? And I was scared. I just closed my eyes and went like that. I didn't even realize I had hit her that hard, Your Honor. I would never have struck her. I felt bad after the incident. I was crying. Yes, I was hysterical because I was having a good time on a Monday night with my friends. She approached me, Your Honor. This isn't the first time she's, you know, antagonized me. Okay, and those harassment calls, they've harassed me, and they even threatened me as I was leaving, and my witness was with me in the car, and I was holding onto my head because I was crying, shaking. Diane, Ryan, and their friend Jimmy were threatening me, saying, watch your back, look out for yourself.
Were you a witness to the event? A witness to the actual event?
Yes, I was.
Step up. Tell me your name.
My name's Tanya.
Tell me what you observed on the evening of the 22nd of August.
Well, I told Cecilia, you know, for her to go ahead and get some beers because she was going downstairs. So then I went downstairs after she did, and then I'm
For
like,
what?
to go see where she was. She was speaking with Diane, when all of a sudden I just see Diane's arm just strike right down, right on her head, and then I saw her hit her, and I didn't know if it was with the beer bottle or not. I just saw her strike her, and then after that, I just ran towards her, and then, you know, the bouncers and everybody was trying to tear them apart, and then that was it.
You went down to get more beers, right?
I went to go to the restroom also.
Okay, but you already had a beer in your hand. You told me you had a beer in
It
your
was
hand.
empty. It was almost empty.
Why don't you let me finish my
I'm sorry.
statement?
Okay.
You already said that you had a beer and that there was some left in it. Is that correct?
There was some left in it, yes.
Right. What time did you arrive at this bowling alley / pool hall?
We went to eat there first. It was
Around
around
7.
7-ish, because we were there eating, and then we went upstairs. to shoot pool.
When you were eating, did you have anything of an alcoholic nature to drink?
I had, well, we had a
Yeah.
pitcher.
Yeah.
That was it. And
A
that
what?
was a pitcher of
A
light
beer?
Yeah,
While you were having dinner?
with food, right,
While you were having dinner. And then you went upstairs to shoot pool.
right.
And how much did you have to drink when you went upstairs?
It was probably about one beer.
Maybe two?
No, it was just about one beer because we were going downstairs to get more.
All right, now let's get back to you, Miss Bro.
Okay. First of all, she said that Ryan has a cell phone. He's never had a cell phone since we've been together. The concession stand is in the bowling alley, and she says she approached me at the concession stand.
Well, you have a couple of things to explain to me, madam.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Okay? You confronted her, and I'm not excusing if what you allege happened the way you alleged it to happen. I'm not excusing that. But you confronted her twice. Not once, but twice. You sought her out. Initially, you told me you went up to her, got in her face, told her to leave you all alone, and then you followed her again.
I didn't.
Yes, you did. You followed her again because you saw her talking to somebody at a table where you were going to be seated. According to you, this was somebody that you had had bad interaction with before. So both of those things weren't too smart. I will also tell you that the police officer, I'm going to get to her in a second, the police officer observed a fresh bruise on her hand. How do you think she got that? A large welt. How do you think she got that?
Maybe from pushing me, or, you know, when she fell back, or, you know, I pushed her back. Maybe her hand hit the table when she fell back.
Yeah.
I don't know how she got a welt on her hand, but I didn't even have a beer. That's why Ryan was at the
Just
bar.
a second. So clearly there was a physical altercation between the two of you before anything happened with bottles, according to you. Is that right?
When we were at the table,
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
So there was a physical altercation. That must have been a pretty hard shove.
She hit me first. Was I not supposed to defend myself? I'm supposed to
Where did
just-
she hit you first?
She pushed me in my chest, and I
That's a
pushed her
push.
back.
No, okay, that's a
And-
push.
Okay.
That's not a hit.
Well,
How did she get the welt on her hand?
I'm really not sure how she got the welt on her hand.
You certainly confronted her on both occasions, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Not smart. Now, my next question to you, Miss Alvarado, is this incident is over and you're hysterical. You're all upset, right?
Right.
So what's the first thing that you do? You go to your phone and you call him.
No, I didn't.
Oh, yes, you
No,
did.
I didn't, ma'am.
Oh, well, according to the police, you did.
They threatened me as I was leaving, and
They may have threatened you.
they,
The police say that they listened to the message over the phone
okay,
and heard you say, Ryan, this is Cece. Remember that?
yeah, I guess.
Why don't you tell her what we did a month ago? Does that sound familiar? My question to you is, after you're so upset and distraught, why do you continue with this by picking up the phone and calling him?
Because I had, Your Honor, this has been going on for like 2 months. He is.
When did you
led-
find out he was 20 years old?
Ma'am.
When
Your
did you
Honor,
find out he was 20 years old?
Today.
So before today, you thought he was 22.
That is what he told me.
Okay, so before today, you thought he was 22. And he's got a 20-year-old girlfriend.
Well, I
And
thought-
you're 33 years
thought
old.
she was
Pay
23.
attention. So now you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know that he's a baby and you're not. So this terrible thing happened at the bar. Why are you continuing it by calling him on the phone?
I didn't continue calling him on the phone after this incident.
4 times.
Are you telling me that this phone call the
But I
police...
was-
Shh. Are you telling me the police are making up this phone
No,
call
I'm
that they
not.
heard?
I'm not.
So you did call him.
But they called me at work also to harass me, and I have
I'm not
proof
talking
of
about
that.
at work. I'm talking about immediately after this incident on the 22nd. You got home and you called him.
I called him, but I didn't call him 4 times.
I didn't say 4 times. Did I
Okay,
say 4
well,
times? They said 4
that's
times. I
what
said
I'm
once.
thinking.
Pay careful attention.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She knew I was 20.
She thought you were 22. To me, there's
Okay.
no difference. You're a baby when you're 20 if you're a boy. You're a baby when you're 22 if you're a boy. And sometimes when you're 52 if you're a boy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Diane Bro says her front teeth were knocked out during a fight with Cecilia Alvarado. The women say the fight was over a man.
Why did you call him one time when you got home?
Because I was angry. I was really upset about this whole situation.
Well,
Yeah.
right now, you're in a situation
Exactly.
where you caused her substantially more injury than she caused you.
And I was sorry.
You are at the
I'm
police,
sorry
so you
for
didn't
it.
call up and say, I'm sorry. You called up and said, hey, why don't you tell her what we did a month ago and all the other stuff?
Because, Your Honor, I was upset about it because if it wasn't for him leading me on and telling me that their relationship was nothing, then I wouldn't have gone after him. I wouldn't have talked to him.
Let me see the dental reports.
May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
I've met Cecilia before, like probably a month before Diane became my girlfriend. And, you know, the whole time, you know, she knew I was 20. All my friends know I'm 20. She
Don't tell me
knew-
what she knows.
Okay.
Did you?
And
She thought you were 22. To me, there's
Okay.
no difference. You're a baby when you're 20
Okay.
if you're a boy. You're a baby when you're 22 if you're a boy. And sometimes when you're 52
She called
if
me
you're a boy.
nonstop. She called me at my place of employment. They told me at work that if she continues on calling, they're going to write me up because she called me nonstop.
She's a little fanatic.
Yeah, and she called my house nonstop, paged me nonstop.
did
Ryan,
not.
pay careful attention. She may be a little bit of a nut.
Yes.
We all are.
And I don't know, and I'm not interested in knowing what happened a month before.
Okay.
You know, and she knows. Maybe your girlfriend doesn't know, but you know, and she knows. She should have been smart enough when she figured out how old you were and that you're a baby to back off and find somebody that's more age appropriate. Because there is no difference between 20 and 22. You got to find somebody who's 35 because this is not an appropriate match for you. A 20-year-old doesn't lead on a 33-year-old if they have any brains.
And me and Diane have also told her, you know, together that we don't want nothing to do with her if she's going to continue on like this. You know, me and Diane sat there and told her to leave us alone.
Try Diane and I.
Okay. Diane and I.
I just had to do that. Just,
Sorry.
You understand?
Your Honor.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
you're supposed to be a mature adult. You're 33 years old.
Your Honor, she hit me over the head. What was I supposed to do?
I don't believe she, listen to me. I don't believe she hit you over the head.
Yes, she...
No, listen to me. I believe she pushed you. I believe you pushed her. I
How
believe
did-
you shoved her. I believe all of those things, but I do not believe that she hit you over the head with a beer bottle and that you had blood in a bump, because if you did, the police would have memorialized that in a very, I'm speaking, don't look pained to me, in a very detailed police report. I believe that. Now, I don't believe that you are blameless. I believe that you were involved with this incident and that you should not have confronted her. Your actual out-of-pocket expenses are $41.82.
I did miss 4 days of work.
Listen to me.
Okay.
You have to find that you are somewhat responsible for what happened. Because if you had stayed away from her, it wouldn't have happened. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
He's a big boy. If he wants to tell her to stay out of his life, he can do that. If he wanted to be stupid enough a month ago to do whatever he did a month ago that he hasn't shared with you, right? That's something that he's going to have to deal with if he acted like a fool. But you didn't have to go to her twice, especially since she had had a lot to drink that night. She got there at 7 o'clock. They had a couple of pitchers of beer, not just one.
No,
they
no.
drank. I'm speaking. I'm not stupid. I've lived a long time. I've lived longer than 33 years. Okay? You got there at 7, and this was 12 o'clock at night. You already had one beer bottle in your hand, right? You were down to get another one, and I assure you that that was not the first one that you consumed while you were upstairs playing pool. And you also consumed beer while you were having dinner, according to you, one pitcher. In any event, you're going to pay for her dental work. She's going to pay for her pain and suffering and for her missed work. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,182. That's all.
Now, this is cases number 279 and 280 on the calendar in the matter of Aton versus Davis. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
I have two cases here. One is really a cross-complaint. Mrs. Aton, we're going to deal with your case first.
Yes.
You and the defendant are Brownie troop leaders,
Yes.
which is part of the Girl Scouts. And how long have you known each other?
Approximately 2 years.
How long have you both been troop leaders?
A year.
Everybody knows about Brownie cookies. Your daughter and her troop would sell cookies, and you would turn the money over to Miss Davis to put in the bank.
Her daughter was also in the trip, too.
Yes. Give her the money. She had the bank account. She'd put the money in the bank account, and then when it was all over, you would write a check to the Girl Scout Council for the cookies. And it is your claim that you gave her a substantial amount of money.
Yes.
After the sale, it was not all deposited in the account.
Right.
As a result of which the Girl Scout Council met and said they couldn't decipher where this money was, but since they delivered these dozens of boxes of cookies to both of you, you would each be responsible for half of the money.
Right.
You are suing Miss Davis for the half that you had to pay,
Yes.
because you said, I gave her the money.
Yes.
How much money do you claim you gave her?
I gave her a total of $984.
Did you give her this money all at one time?
Yes, I did. My daughter was with me when I did that.
Over what period of time had you accumulated this $984?
3 days.
Who opened the bank account?
Maureen did.
In whose name?
Both of ours.
How many times had deposits been made in that account?
There was 1, 2, 3.
Who made the deposits?
Maureen made 2, I made 1.
So out of the 3 deposits, you made 2?
I remember making 1. If there's 2 down there, then I made 2.
Let me see what you have.
I was not able to get a hold of the bank records. They were subpoenaed.
Now, it is your claim, Miss
Oh.
Davis.
Here.
It is your claim,
That's
Miss
my
Davis,
deposit slip.
that she did not give you $984.
Exactly.
How much did she give you?
She came to my house after what we called the last booth sale. They were selling outside one of the supermarkets. And what she did is she had borrowed my daughter's wagon to haul the cookies around with. She came to my house after it was done, excited that they were all gone. She handed me a pencil box full of money and asked me to deposit this money.
I asked you for a deposit slip.
Wait a second. Wait. Let her tell a story, and then I'll come back to you. Okay?
She had no idea how much money was in this box. My husband and I sat down.
So she gave you a box.
She gave me her daughter's pencil box where they had used to put the money out for the sale that they were doing. This was a 1-day sale, not a 3-day sale. Then my husband and I sat and counted it, divided all the 1s by 20s, paper clipped them all, and that's what I deposited in the bank.
And do you know how much that was?
I believe it was $236.
Now, let's get to the box. Did you bring money in a box?
Yes.
Was the money in the box separated as to bill denomination?
I had put 20s, 10s, 5s, and 1s.
Are you sure?
Yes, because that was the only way to make easiest change.
How many people were involved in this sale?
Maureen was supposed to show up at
Not
the
she.
sales.
No, how many people were actually involved with you in this sale on that day?
On that day, we had 1 other parent.
Now explain to me exactly how this worked. You set up outside a supermarket on
Yeah.
a table?
We didn't have a table. We just had the wagon. The people said what kind they wanted. They gave the girls the cash. The girls gave it to me. I counted what needed to go back, and I handed it to the girls, and they handed it to their customer.
When do you claim, I want you to listen to me very carefully,
Okay.
was the last time you counted the money that you turned over to the defendant?
It was probably about 2 hours prior to us leaving. I wasn't sure what time we were going to leave.
Leave where?
Leave Sam Clubs. We were there from 10 o'clock to like 4:30, 5 o'clock.
And you brought all the money with you for the 3 days?
All except for $207, which was in my wet bar. And I asked her for a deposit slip, and her reply was, I can't find the bank stuff right now, so I'll get it to you when I can. And I said, all right. And then she said, with all that money laying around, I would spend it. I don't do that. That's not me.
Why didn't you make the deposit yourself?
I didn't have any of the bank stuff. It all was mailed to her house. She had all the bank access, not me.
Well, you did make one deposit yourself.
After she gave me a deposit slip.
Okay, but you can go into a bank.
They wouldn't receive the money without original deposit slip for the bank.
Oh, no. That's ridiculous.
Well,
Miss Aton, that's ridiculous. If you
That's
go
what
in
the
with your
lady
account
told me.
number, listen to me, if you go into a bank with your account number,
I didn't have the account number.
We didn't have
I
anything.
didn't have anything.
shh. But you could have. I mean, it wasn't a secret. You said, give me the account number, then
Right.
and you can do it. Then you don't even have to keep money in your wet bar, a couple $100 in your wet bar.
But mine got deposited.
Well, she deposited money. She says that you gave her $236 in cash.
I gave her more than that.
I understand that you say you gave her that. But she did, in fact, deposit $236 in cash.
It's
no?
not in here.
Did you deposit it?
Yes, I did. I deposited what I had.
You said it was $236.
I believe it was around $236.
It's not registered on there that I could see.
What date?
I'm not sure the date. It was one of the dates her husband at school one day came up to me and asked me if I had deposited the money. I told him that I had. I was actually on my way to the bank to do that.
You lied about it.
Listen, Mr. Aton, don't shout out that you don't want me to think you're a hothead, do you?
Well, I can be. Everybody can be sometimes, but I'll restrain myself.
Well, I would like to have some proof, Miss Davis, that you did in fact deposit the $236.
I haven't seen any of the deposits that had been done. I tried
No,
to get a copy.
this was a deposit that you made.
Right.
You went to the bank, you deposited $236. You got a receipt. Where's the receipt?
I do not have the receipt, Your Honor.
What'd you do with it?
I gave it to Mrs. Aton.
No, you
Wait,
did not.
just a second. Hey.
I handed her all the paperwork with all the receipts.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was aware of this, Your Honor.
I don't care whether they're aware of it, madam. You're not even dealing with your money. It belongs to the Girl Scout Council of America. And you don't do anything in that fiduciary capacity that is illegal. You got it?
Proceeds from the troops' cookie sale. Maureen denies the charge and says the Atons are harassing her.
You have a problem. At least with $236, you have a problem. You have a problem with $236 because you knew you were coming to court today, not only on her complaint, but on a cross complaint that you had. You've had months to resolve this issue. And you could have easily said to the bank, I want a copy of the receipt for my $236.
I had asked for a copy of the stuff, but apparently they were subpoenaed and the bank went through their lawyers and I was told that I could not be issued those.
Oh, that's baloney. It is going to be, Ms. Aton, absolutely impossible to ascertain whether the money was taken out of your cash box.
Does that also give her the right to forge my name on the bank documents and on here?
On where?
On the bank authority? What is the reasoning that the council decided to only have me pay half?
Tell her what we saw at the bank.
Shh, that's not correct.
And at the bank, they would not give me any more of the statements and stuff because they realized that my name was forged also on the bank stuff.
You mean as an owner of the account?
Yeah.
And I can explain that, Your Honor.
Let me hear you.
I had gone into the bank and opened up our checking account for the Girl Scouts because they needed it to be open. I opened it with my own money. At that time, the signature card sat in the bank for at least 3 weeks. Mrs. Aton would not or did not go in to sign the signature card.
Why didn't you bring
You
one out and
told
give
me
it?
I
Shut up! Why didn't you pick up the signature card and give it to her and say, sign this off
Right.
and I'll bring it back to the bank?
Because we very rarely saw each other in the morning.
What,
her
morning,
husband dropped-
afternoon, a bank card could be signed morning, afternoon, evening.
She knows
She-
where I
You
live.
can't sign somebody else's name to an account.
But she had told me to do, Your Honor, and it came from her. I didn't even know her name was Marcelinda. I've always known her as Marcy.
No.
She asked
Go ahead.
She asked me to sign her name to that so that the bank account could get opened. I did that. Now, I realize after
Where did you do
doing
that?
this-
In the bank?
In the bank.
Are you telling me you sat before a bank officer and they allowed you to sign somebody else's name?
I did.
Well, you did. And this is the same bank that wouldn't give you a copy of your deposit slip of $236 that would allow you to sit there and forge somebody's signature in a bank document?
No,
Come
they-
on, Miss Davis. Well, it doesn't sound very kosher to me. In any event, I have $236 that is unaccounted for. Can't account for the rest. I'm not prepared to find that she's a thief. Forged your name. She says it was with the bank's consent. That's very stupid.
Yes, I realized that after the fact that it probably wasn't something that should have been done. but
Absolutely.
we were friends, and I didn't think anything of it when she asked me to do this.
Yeah, you don't do that.
I
I mean, I
didn't
don't open an
ask
account by forging the name of my children. I don't care whether you're your friend or not. You just don't open an account that way.
She was aware of this, Your Honor.
I don't care whether they're aware of it, madam. You're not even dealing with your money. You have a fiduciary relationship towards this money. It is not yours. It belongs to the Girl Scout Council of America. And you don't do anything in that fiduciary capacity that is illegal. It is illegal to open an account with a forged name. You got it? I don't care friends, not friends. This is a business. All right. Switch places.
Yep.
Your cross complaint is for harassment.
Yes, ma'am.
You're claiming that the defendant, Mr. Aton, who has an acknowledged hot temper and who's going to uncross his arms as we speak, has harassed you in front of your child. Tell me about it.
It started the end of school year last year when this money went missing. The first episode he did was in front of my daughter and in front of a bunch of parents, and I was furious at the point that he would do this in front of everybody. I left school and I went to Mrs.
What did he do? So if I
He
used
sat there and yelled and called me a thief, a liar, every four-letter word you can think of.
Where was this?
At the school where we pick up our daughters.
Where at the school?
Right in front of where their classroom is where we pick
Inside
them
the
up.
school?
Inside the school grounds.
Well, tell me exactly what he said to you.
He came up to me and he called me a thief, called me a liar, told me he was going to get me, that I stole this money, and my daughter and I proceeded to walk away, where he just proceeded to follow us and kept calling us names.
I believe he did that.
And I went to his
I
wife's
didn't have to
work.
ask him. I believe he did it. He can't contain himself here.
I went to his wife's work where I sat my daughter down in a little play area they have there and asked to speak with her. We went in the back. I told his wife what had happened, and she was appalled. She started crying. She apologized. She came out to my daughter and apologized. And she told my daughter, she would talk to him, that he wasn't being very nice. And
I believe that too. Right?
I did say that.
Just
to
a second.
keep her working
Good
with
job.
me.
Stand up here, please. Ms. Aton, let's be very honest with each other. So far,
Yes.
we're getting somewhere. She did come to your place of work and say that there was
Yelling
a...
across my platform with a bunch of customers in it.
absolutely not.
And she said Bill was ready to kick Dan's, excuse my language.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, honey.
Hey.
You want to go inside for a minute?
I don't think you're following me, Ms. Aton. My point is, immediately after she saw your husband at the school, she came to your place of employment very upset, right?
Right.
And you did have a discussion.
Yes.
All that leads me to believe that this actually occurred at the school. All right?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, it goes much deeper than that, much deeper. Insults, slandering my child.
He even went up to my daughter, my 7-year-old daughter, and told her that her mommy was no good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brownie Troop Leader Maureen Davis is suing her co-leader's husband, Dan Aton, for harassment.
What else?
Mr. Aton came up to me with his fists clenched and started proceeding to yell and scream at me in front of another parent. The parent...
What did he say?
He proceeded then to call me a lion and proceeded to tell me that I was a thief and I was no good. And I asked him, I was talking to another parent, I politely asked him to leave me alone, and he would not. The other parent then walked away. I asked him again to leave me alone. At that time, my daughter, we were right in front of my daughter's classroom where the door was open, and he would not leave. When my daughter came out, I took my daughter, I proceeded to walk away to the crosswalk. He proceeded to follow me and said, "You'll get yours," and he walked away. This happened every day when I went to school. He had something nasty to say every single day, until the fact that he even went up to my daughter, my 7-year-old daughter, and told her that her mommy was no good. I went to the police department 3 times. The first day of school I went, right after this happened, because my daughter was terrified.
Okay. According to what I read here, there is some indication that you did get a restraining order against
Yes, I
him.
did.
When was that?
On October 13th.
Do you have a copy of that restraining order?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please? There has not been a hearing yet on this.
It's on the 27th.
Well, I
They made
can't-
me get an emergency at the police
Listen
department.
to me. Shh. Do you have an attorney?
No.
Well, you will, I'm sure, get one. I am not going to take your testimony here today with regard to these allegations of harassment, sir. Do you understand? Because there is currently an action pending, and according to this, you are in the interim not to go near the plaintiff, her husband, her child, and stay 100 yards away from all of those people, their place of work, their place of residence, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that was done on an ex parte basis, so the court had absolutely no information from your side as to whether any of these allegations were
Yes,
true.
I haven't been able to say anything about it. She's been able
Did
to...
you understand?
Yes.
You will have your chance after you speak to an attorney. You got it?
Yes.
I have to dismiss the harassment complaint. You can refile it after the action is concluded in the Superior Court, but I'm not going to put him in the position of having to testify without benefit of counsel here when he has a current action pending. I suggest you get a lawyer, Mr. Aton. You're going to need one, because if you have a hot temper, and there is no question in my mind that with what I've seen today, that there may be some validity to her complaints, that if she gets a restraining order against you and you violate it, you could go to jail.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She acknowledges that you gave her $236.
Okay.
She cannot present to me any proof from her bank, the bank that permitted her to forge your signature on a signature card, according to her,
Yeah.
yet would not give her a copy of the receipt. So I'm perfectly comfortable on your complaint awarding you $236.
People can be provoked, Your Honor.
I didn't provoke you here,
No,
sir.
I'm not
Nothing
saying-
here provoked you.
No.
Nothing here provoked you. But I could tell that you are easily provoked. You're easily provoked because you think that this is a major deal. We're talking about money. We're not talking about
No,
your health.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. It goes much deeper than that. Much deeper. Insults, slandering my child. I'm very protective of my family. I almost lost all three of them. Almost lost her to cancer. Almost lost my youngest.
So if you are smart and you know that this is money, and you have your wife, and she has her health, right? Money. Not important. That's all.
Now, this is case number 267 on the calendar in the matter of Campbell versus Fisher. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Ms. Campbell, you live with the defendant, Mrs. Fisher's father,
Correct.
and you've been together for how long?
Approximately 6 years.
And sometime, the early part of this year, you and your boyfriend were going on vacation or holiday, and she was going to stay home and take care of not only the home, but a whole bunch of animals that you have.
Correct.
You were gone for several weeks.
Correct.
She did not do what she was supposed to do. She left the house unattended, left the animals unattended, as a result of which the house was pretty much destroyed. That's what you're suing for.
Correct.
You were subsequently married.
Yes.
This is your husband.
Yes.
You have a cross complaint, and your cross complaint is for some sort of harassment. Okay. When did Mrs. Fisher move in with you?
Approximately 3 years ago.
Is that right?
Yes.
And how old were you when you moved in?
I was about 16
Where had you lived before?
in Arkansas with my grandfather.
So you moved back and lived with your dad and his girlfriend.
Yes.
And how long did you plan on being away?
4 weeks. Items I sell, and I'm a vendor at craft fairs and craft shows.
Did you have an arrangement with her with regard to caring for the animals when you were away?
Yes, I did.
What did you say to her and what did she say to you?
The conversation was between her and her boyfriend, Michael Fisher, at the time. They agreed to take care of the animals. He agreed to take her to and from work and to and from school because she was still in high school. They assured me that everything would be fine as it had been before.
And you had no concerns?
No.
When did you have an inkling that something wasn't right?
We couldn't reach them for several weeks. I mean, several weeks. Come 5 weeks later, she called us when we were on location at a market and informed us that she had moved out sometime right after we had left to go out of town.
Had you had any indication that she was moving out?
No, Your Honor.
What kind of animals do you have?
I raise hybrid wolves. I have 2 hybrid wolves at this time, 2 cats, and a parrot.
So 5 animals altogether?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did you know that something was wrong with the animals? Did she tell you she was taking care of the animals?
She was pretty evasive to me, and I was very, very, very upset. We then called, myself and her father called John McNeely, who is a close friend of us, our family, to go and check on the animals and on my home. He then went over immediately and informed us that we needed to get home immediately, that the animals were not in good shape at all, and the house was totally trashed.
Did you come right home?
It took us 2 days. We're in the midst of having engine problems with our motorhome. Our motorhome is still in Georgia at this time because we had to drop everything, buy another vehicle, and come straight home. We were home within a day and a half.
What did you find when you got home?
My house was totally trashed, birdseed everywhere. Cat urine and feces had not been picked up or cleaned up all through the home. The backyard was totally trashed from where the animals had tried to get in the home because my dogs have never been outside all night, never. And they had been left outside for long, long periods of time. The inside of the house was, I mean, my furniture was broken. There was a multitude of things missing. My walls were dented and scratched. I couldn't, it was totally unbelievable.
Did you take any photographs?
Yes, like now. And I understand that they're not very good pictures. I'm an amateur at that. It was just something I thought I needed to do.
When you came home, was the house locked up?
Yes, it was.
What items did you find missing?
The dressers, there was 3 dressers that were in Leslie's room. They were missing. They were returned, and that was the condition they were turned in of the photos. There was $250.
Who returned them?
They did, on police order.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Why did you take the dressers?
They were mine.
But the police told you to return them.
Yes.
What else was missing?
$250 cash out of my safe deposit box, along with her Social Security card, her prescription for her contacts and glasses, her title to her car.
That was all in your safe deposit
Yes,
box?
yes, Your Honor. Jewelry, clothing, bedding, food.
All right, let's talk about the safety deposit box. You went into the safety deposit box to get
I
your
went in and
stuff
got my
out?
stuff when they asked me to get the papers for their motorhome. That's the only time I went into it. Title to my car was in a manila envelope, sort of like this, that was in my room. It was never in their box.
Social Security card?
It was, yes.
Where was that?
It was in their box.
Did you take it?
Yes. Mike was there, and so was John,
Who's Mike?
my husband.
Who's John?
My witness.
Step up, please. John, what's your last name?
McNeely.
Tell me about the circumstances surrounding you going into the safety deposit
Rose
box.
and Leon had called me when their motorhome broke down and asked me to go over and help Leslie and Michael try to find the warranty papers for the engine.
You actually went into the safety deposit box with them?
No, I was looking through the papers that Leslie had already pulled out, had them on the counter, seeing what she had, making sure that they were the right papers, and going through, getting phone numbers and stuff to call Rose and Leon with to give them for the warranty for the motor.
Were you still living in the house at the time that you went through the safety deposit box?
Yes, I was.
When did you leave?
I completely moved out the day, what was it, the day before they came home? Because we
But
had
you weren't
3
staying
cats.
in the house.
We had 3 cats, and when I finally completely moved all my stuff out, I took
Mrs.
my
Fisher,
cat and bought stuff.
we're not going to play games with each other. I'm not talking about completely moving out. When did you cease living there on a full-time basis?
What day was that?
Don't ask him. How much after they left
think
did
it
you
was probably
start
a
living
week.
with your now husband?
I think it was probably a week.
And you had some stuff that you left there, so you would go back periodically.
No, I would take care of the animals too.
Periodically?
No, every day.
Okay. Well, the devastation that I saw, for instance, around the parrot's cage, let's talk about that, and the kitty litter boxes, that's more than a day's worth of cleanup.
What do you... To clean the litter boxes, you did that once a week. She told me you have to do it once a week. Clean 2 litter boxes. It was in my room.
He wasn't living there in the house with you?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so
no.
your arrangement
He was not
with
allowed
him.
to be in the home, and only at certain times because I was trying to keep Leslie from doing something that she might be sorry for. He's 30 years old, Your Honor.
He's 29.
She was 18 at the time, Your Honor. I feel that this is just a stab in my back. I brought a child up, tried to give her a good home. I did
why did you
everything
treat me
for
so
you,
bad?
Leslie.
Listen. We don't do that here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If I knew all this was going to happen, I would have stayed.
Stayed where?
Arkansas.
Well, if you stayed in Arkansas, you wouldn't have met your husband.
that's better than all the hell they put me through.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rose Campbell says Leslie Fisher was left to watch her home while she was on vacation. Rose says Leslie abandoned her home and her animals. Leslie and her husband are countersuing for harassment and defamation of character.
Miss Fisher, can you tell me why you chose to wait until after they left?
Because I know they'd put me...
To move out. Why?
Because I know they'd do this to me. They wouldn't let me move out because I tried to move out more than once.
So it was your plan to move out. Is that right?
Yes, and they knew it.
No, don't tell me that they knew it. They wouldn't have known that you were going to move out.
They didn't know
and
the exact.
And leave all their animals unattended. So this was your plan. And this was your plan with your husband?
Yes.
And when did you formulate this plan?
We talked about it for a few weeks.
Before they left?
Yeah.
So you weren't honest with Miss Campbell or your father when you said that you would be living in the house all the time and taking care of the animals.
They didn't ask me to live in the house. It was just sort of like telling me to do everything.
But you had been living in the house
Yeah,
full
I had
time
been.
and taking care of the pets when they went on
Because
this
I
trip.
had to. They didn't ask me. We didn't, write down papers saying that they would pay me or we had an agreement or anything.
Miss Fisher, let me ask you this question. You moved in when you were 16.
Yes.
Were you working?
Not when I was 16, no.
Were you working when you were 17?
Yes.
Full-time or part-time?
Part-time because I had to go to school full-time.
You lived in the house. They paid all the expenses, right? And you had certain chores to do.
Yes.
Does that sound unreasonable to you?
Not then.
Well, then you turned 18. When did you meet him?
I knew him when I first moved up to Ohio.
When you were 16?
Yes.
And how old was he?
He was 26.
Okay. Mr. Fisher, what kind of work do you do, sir?
Body man, fix cars. Frame.
Is that your own business?
No.
You work for somebody else?
Yes, I do.
You're working on the books, of course.
I should be.
But you're not.
He better be paying me on the books.
Well, you would know, Mr. Fisher, whether you're being paid on the books. Either you get a check that says this is how much they take out for taxes and Social Security, or they don't take out for taxes and Social Security. So you paid on the books or off the books?
The boss told me he was going to be paying me on the books. He should be paying me on the books. If he is or isn't, I don't know. I do not want to take a check from the man because the checks will bounce.
So you paid in cash?
I told him to give me $400 cash and take care of the taxes for it.
Miss Fisher, there's some indication in these papers that you were charged with animal cruelty or animal abandonment. Is that right?
Yes. I've got a misdemeanor for it, yes.
So you were convicted?
Well, it was the easiest way to get out of the court case, yeah.
So you were convicted?
Yes.
And you pled guilty?
No contest. Same as guilty, yes.
So that there really is no issue as to whether you abandoned these animals, because the burden of proof here is much less than in a criminal proceeding. The only issue is one of damages. Now, what were the damages to your animal?
Well over $4,000, Your Honor, but I'm not claiming that because I feel that some of it was done previous to her doing what she did to me. I'm claiming $1,800 to repair the couch, to change the door locks because they did get keys made for my doors, and my doors, cleaning the walls, repairing the walls, the carpeting, the vet bill.
How much was the vet bill?
The vet bill was over $380.
All right, tell me about your counterclaim.
They harassed us. She harassed us on the phone.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, we've got the tape right here if you'd like to listen to it.
Leslie, this is Rosie. I just wanted you to know that if I don't have you face to face and you're not woman enough to come and talk to me about what has gone on, not only am I going to prosecute you, but I'm also going and headed to the school with 2 documents. One to Mr. to inform him that you aren't living in the Menor School District anymore, and you'll have to go to night school to finish. And I think Mikey is going to have some problems also. The only way that we can remedy this, Leslie, one is I don't want you to come back. You are not welcome in my house after you come here once. Just to tell me where my stuff is, why you did what you did to these animals. That's all I have to say to you. Not only have you broken my heart, you also have broken all of my trust. Obviously, you have no one now. You have not me, not my family. My daughter's on her way over here to calm me down. You don't have anybody in your family. You have your sister whom you are just like. Only thing is, she was with him a little longer than 3 months. Also, you have nobody. You have nobody now. Well, kid, you got a long and hard road to work. I hope you make it.
You have anything else you want me to listen to?
We have a videotape of our wedding right after. There were still people there from the ceremony, and my dad, and we know John was there, but we're not sure if Rosie was in the van. They came and harassed us.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She's into the vending business. Basically, I consider a carny, and she...
I beg your pardon.
It's my own personal opinion, so please.
Listen, your judgment's so lousy so far, I'm not interested in your opinion.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rose Campbell says Leslie Fisher owes her for a trashed home and neglecting her animals.
The tape is not harassment, madam.
She almost got me kicked out of school.
Let me tell you what she's saying to you. She's saying you lived in her home, she trusted you, and you violated their trust. It's clear to me that you violated their trust because you snuck around, waited until, with a plot, waited until they left. And then as soon as they left, you moved out. And you may have come back every few days to take care of the animals, to feed them, give them water, do whatever, but that's not what was anticipated. What was anticipated is that you would be living there. There's a difference between living there and going to feed the cat every couple of days. Miss Fisher, you and I know that. And I'm telling you something. That's not harassment on that tape. What that is hurt. Because what she really said was, I'm going to do all these things to you, none of which are illegal. But all I want you to do is come here and explain to me why you did this to me, why you did it the way you did it. Let me ask you this question, sir.
Huh.
You're older.
Yes.
You're supposed to be more responsible.
Yes.
Why did you encourage Miss Fisher to leave the house without letting them know?
I did not.
You didn't.
No, I told her straight out, point blank,
yes,
it's her choice. If she wants to move out, I ain't going to stop her. I ain't going to talk her into it. I ain't going to talk her out of it. It's her choice.
Just a second. Rose and Leon were going to be away for 2 months.
We were there every single day. We have a picture of her mailbox if you would like to take a look. See at it. She's got a small mailbox. She's into the vending business. Basically, I consider a carny. And she...
I beg your pardon.
Miss Campbell, Miss Campbell.
I personally believe...
Miss Campbell, look at me. Please don't talk to him. Don't talk to him.
I'm a nurse, in-home nurse.
It's my own personal opinion, so please...
Well, I'm not interested. You listen, your judgment's so lousy so far, I'm not interested in your opinion. Say no more. Just tell me what happened at the wedding, please, so I can
Leon and John showed up for sure.
I'm not interested in anybody else other than Miss Campbell.
Well, they showed up in Rose Campbell's van. I have no idea if Rose was actually in the van or not. It's hard to tell. Van has tinted windows.
So?
I have no idea if she was...
Oh, I have no idea either.
I figured birds of a feather flock together. I figured Leon was probably in the van with Rosie and John.
How
all three
disrespectful.
Just a second. Miss Campbell, please, I told you, I don't want to say it again. I don't want you to speak to him. Miss Fisher, have you spoken to your father since all of this happened?
No.
And of course you haven't spoken to Miss Campbell.
That's right.
Are you a little sorry it happened?
If I knew all this was going to happen, I would have stayed.
Stayed where?
Arkansas.
Well, if you stayed in Arkansas, you wouldn't have met your husband.
That's better than all the hell they put me through.
Wouldn't have met Mike if you stayed in Arkansas. You may have good reason to cry.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Let's take care of the counterclaim first. The counterclaim is nonsense. And there is absolutely no evidence that she was involved in any harassment at your wedding, other than the fact that your husband thinks that birds of a feather flock together. Maybe he's right. There is no question that since Mrs. Fisher has been found guilty of abuse of animals, there's no question that she did it. There is also no question that you cannot prove that they actually stole money out of your
Correct,
safety
Your Honor.
deposit box. But I really believe that since you filed your lawsuit against both,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you indicated to me that both of them were there when you had this conversation.
Correct,
Is that
Your
right?
Honor.
Yes.
He had a certain responsibility. He accepted that responsibility. He was also part of the plan, and he was the older member that was part of the plan, that they were certainly not going to fulfill this agreement, at least the way you anticipated it would be
Correct.
fulfilled. In any event, I am awarding you $1,000 judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you.
This is case number 66 on the calendar in the matter of Gibson versus Gibson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Gibson, the defendant is your uncle.
Yes, ma'am.
You claim that an incident occurred, that he assaulted you, and during the course of that assault, he ripped a necklace off of your neck and took it.
Necklace and medallion.
Tell me how that happened, sir. And first tell me when.
March 1st. I went over to my auntie's house, and he was over there. When I found out he was over there, tried to shake my hand. We had got into it about a couple weeks before this previously.
You mean you had an argument with him?
A couple weeks before, he busted out her windshield, my girlfriend's windshield out of her car. So we were already on bad terms. Of course, he paid for it, but we were already on bad terms because
Why did he do that? Why did you bust out the windshield on her car?
We had a confrontation. Me and this guy, my nephew, we don't see eye to eye whatsoever.
No, but why did you break out the windshield on her car?
We was fighting. And as he always have done, you know, as a coward, he sucker punches and runs and all this old kind of shit. And I couldn't get to him, excuse me, but I couldn't get to him. I couldn't get to him, you understand me? So I did the next thing and I broke the window. I don't have no reason to lie whatsoever.
Had you been drinking?
Yes, I had been drinking.
Gotcha. Okay, now on this occasion, you went over to your aunt's house. He was there, and what happened?
he tried to shake my hand like he always do after he does something dumb.
So we try to make up.
Yeah, and I shook him. I went and I called my girlfriend. I told her to meet me. I left out the house to go meet her out in the driveway. She pulls up. He comes out. He had been drinking that day. He comes out, follows me to the car. He comes up. He's like, "Oh, Nana, give me a ride to Crenshaw. Give me a ride to Crenshaw." I'm like, "She not giving you a ride."
Lie.
I'm like, "She not giving you a ride nowhere." Matter of fact, just step back a little bit. So he walks around.
No, I'm going to let you tell me your side of the story.
He walks around to the passenger side of the car and tries to get in the car.
Okay.
That's when I walked around the side and slammed the car shut and was like, "Man, back up off the car." And so then he takes his glasses off. He's like, "Oh, you think you bad? You think you bad in front of your girlfriend?" I was like, "Uncle Tony, back up on me. I don't want no problems. Just leave me alone." He started walking towards me. We start fighting.
When you say fight, you were punching or shoving or what were you doing?
Fighting.
Really
brawling.
fighting?
Yes.
Fighting with your fists?
Fists, feet, everything. Fighting. So let me see, after that, I backed up. He slammed me a few times on the fence. I punched him a few times. My watch broke. I grabbed my watch. Now my uncle comes and he breaks it up.
Another uncle?
Yes. So he's trying to take my coat. I had a puff coat.
What's a puff coat?
A puff bomber coat. Yeah. So he got my coat in his hand. This is after we done fought like 2 or 3 rounds already. So he's like, "Man, I'll take your coat. I'll take your coat." I'm like, "Man, you ain't about to take nothing." So he's walking away, and my uncle Gangster is like, "Man, give him his coat." He gets the coat back. I got my coat. I'm walking away with my coat. He's still coming at me. So I turn around. I'm like, "Oh, you ain't had enough?" So we start fighting some more. So before we start fighting, he says something like, "Man, I'll take your chain." I'm like, "Yeah, right. Ain't nobody about to take nothing." So we start fighting again, and somehow he goes in my shirt and rips my chain and medallion off. So now I'm like, "Oh, I can't believe he done ripped my chain and medallion off." I'm like, "Give me my man. Why you tripping? Why you got my chain?" He like, "Man, it's mine now. I took this." I'm like, "You ain't take nothing." So puts it in his pocket. We fight and fight and fight. This fight must have went on for like 20 or 30. We would stop and rest, be out of breath, and fight some more. So finally, after I turned around and started fighting him like the 3rd or 4th time, my Uncle Gangster is like, "Well, y'all do whatever." His name is Gangster.
Your uncle's name is Gangster?
Yeah.
His mother gave him that name? Or is that just what they call him?
We gave him that name.
What's his name?
Gangster.
Okay, so Wayne came out and broke up this brawl.
Yeah, he broke it up one time. He usually break it up every time we fight. He usually break it up. But this time, after I start fighting him again, he was like, well, y'all do whatever, just don't come in the house. Y'all keep this out here.
And where's your chain?
In his pocket.
Okay.
It's in his pocket. So I'm trying to get it out of his pocket. So we wrestling and fighting and everything. And finally, when I almost got it out of his pocket, I could have choked him out. One time I'm on his back. I was behind him. I could have choked him out. I'm like, Uncle Tony, I don't want to go through this. I don't want to hurt you, man. I ain't trying to get hurt. Just give me my chain. And he just still, he was drunk, you know, he was drunk. He was just going through it. So finally I let him go. Then he took the chain out of his pocket and put it in his shoe. Now I had a few other witnesses that were going to come, but somehow they got scared out of coming.
So what happened after he put your chain and the medallion in his shoe?
I said, look, man, give me my chain or I'm going to hurt you for real. It's going to go to another level. He was like, man, do what you got to do. So it was a champagne bottle about somewhere in the gutter laying down, and I went and got it. I cracked the bottle, and I went after him, and then my Uncle Gangster, they let him in the house. Well, they let him in the gate. They say they didn't let him in the house. But my aunt and uncle always, they're the only ones in the family that can control him. So I figured that they were going to get my chain and medallion. So after he went in the gate, I was like kind of relieved because they had him. So I went home. And then the next morning, I talked to my little cousin. They told me it was a girl named Kim he sold a chain to. So I don't know what happened to the medallion, but they know.
Mr. Gibson, had you been drinking that day?
No, I haven't. Not that day.
Talking about that day.
Not that day, I haven't.
How old are you?
31.
How old is he?
About 50, I don't know.
Old.
Not that old. No. He's a couple years older than me.
How old are you?
35.
35. So if you knew he was drunk, and you say he was drunk, right?
He's always drunk.
So he's always
I
drunk.
stay away from him.
Just listen to what I'm saying to you.
When I seen him in the house, I left.
Listen to me. If you know he's drunk, and he's acting like a fool, why don't you just leave?
I did.
No, you said you fought with him. You took time. You rested. This thing lost 20 minutes and 30 minutes, and you rested. You got to yourself, and then you went back and you duked it out again, and then you
start fighting.
Why didn't you just leave? Get in the car. Leave. When Uncle Gangster came out, say, hold on to him. I'm getting in my car, and I'm leaving. I'm just talking about common sense.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Anybody in my family knows me. I'm a crook, yes. I have stolen. I'm not trying to paint no pretty picture here. I'm not trying to make you believe that I'm somebody that I'm not.
He got a chemical imbalance, too.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Johnny Ray Gibson says during a fist fight with his uncle, Anthony Gibson, a gold chain and medallion were ripped off his neck. Johnny claims his uncle sold the jewelry.
Where's his chain?
I don't have his chain.
No, I know you don't have it now. I asked you where is it.
I did not take his chain.
I know where it's
Judge Judy. I didn't take his chain.
I don't know.
Me and the man got into a fight, true and all. Okay, I left my sister's house. She was in the driveway.
Why'd you leave this?
No, Mr. Gibson. See how quiet he was? That's how quiet you have to be.
He was in the driveway talking to his girlfriend. Okay, yeah, I had been drinking. So I had to go to...
Why do you drink so much, Mr. Gibson?
It wasn't that much.
He got a chemical imbalance, too. He can't even handle this.
Why had you been drinking so much?
I had not been drinking that much.
What time of the day was this?
It's like about 9 in the evening.
All day. He'll start at
But
9.
I had not been drinking all day. Okay? Yes, I had been drinking, and I was a little wobbly. So I said, I was attempting to ask Nina to take me to Crenshaw.
After you had busted the window out of her car?
No, this is a other, that's an old...
But this was after you had broken the window out of
Yeah,
her
and
car.
paid for...
9 days.
This was after I broke out the window and paid for it and replaced it and everything else. You know what I'm saying? I've been a stand-up man all my life. If I do wrong, I pay for what I do wrong. But I'm not going to be falsely accused. But at the same time, in essence of this here matter, okay, I attempted to ask Nina for a ride to Crenshaw. Johnny came over from where he was talking to her and pushed me. Went back over to her side of the car, okay? When I walked over to ask Johnny why did he put his hands on me, Johnny socked me in the jaw. Nina said, no, don't do that stuff, you know what I mean? Don't do that. She started up her car and left, okay? Me and Johnny, we got to fighting. We wrestled to the ground a couple of times. When I came up off the ground, I noticed that my watch was gone and my wallet, okay? It was 5 other people out there. I can't assume who picked up my wallet or my watch or what have you. Whatever this man is accusing me of taking from him, I did not take. You know, I have a drug history. I used to smoke cocaine, you understand me? I done drank, and I still drink, you understand me? But that was my past. I don't smoke cocaine no more. I just got out the penitentiary on the 2nd of June. I've been out on the street 11 months. I have not broke no laws. You understand me? Me and this guy do not see eye to eye. Me and his daddy have had animosity against one another. I guess he feels he has to step up and be his dad's son and challenge me on every aspect that he gets a chance on. You know, I whooped him, as an uncle should do to him disrespecting me. Well, okay, he can say he whooped me. Okay, yeah, oh, you whooped me, whatever. It don't matter. He's lying. I did not take a medallion. I did not take a gold chain. If I took a gold chain, if I took a medallion, I'd say, yeah, I took it, punk. Just like that, because that's how I am. Now you get it back the best way you can. I did not take nothing from this man. Anybody in my family knows me. I'm a crook, yes. I have stolen, but I will say I stole it.
Thank you.
I took it. I'm not trying to paint no pretty picture here. I'm not trying to make you believe that I'm somebody that I'm not. I didn't take nothing from this man.
How many people were outside when you were brawling?
About 5 or 6 other people out there, gangbangers, known gangbangers.
Yeah, and they would have came
known
too.
gangbangers. That's why they didn't come up in here to witness. They ain't gonna come and testify to family altercation. Be for real. You know any crooks gonna testify against a crook? Huh?
You say that he sold this medallion.
Yes, ma'am.
To Kim.
She's in jail.
Another crook. See?
Who told you that he sold it to Kim?
My little cousin and her mama.
And why didn't she come and tell the judge
Because
that
ain't
I did that there?
My family is.
Yeah.
Just a second. And her mother?
Yes.
What's mother's name?
That's one of my older sisters.
Okay. And what's their phone number?
You're scared now.
Now, they're the ones that told you that he had sold this to Kim?
Let me.
No, she said. Oh, excuse me.
Let me tell you something, Judge Judy. Our family, we got one of the biggest family in Inglewood. The next morning when I woke up, everybody in the whole family knew that he had sold it to Kim. You know, it was just those were the ones that.
I want to know. You told me that
they were the
Nika
ones that told
you.
me. They the ones that told me, but it was a known.
Just a
my
second.
daddy knew.
Just
and
a
my daddy
second.
knew.
You're telling me that was the one who told you.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Are you supposed to be taking medication?
I used to, you know, but I don't need it anymore.
He's crazy.
Shh. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Johnny Ray Gibson says during a fist fight with his uncle, Anthony Gibson, a gold chain and medallion were ripped off his neck. Johnny claims his uncle sold the jewelry.
Okay, so I spoke to both and Johnny says, sir, that she did discuss the chain with you the next day, but that it was you who told her that the word in the family was that he had sold the chain to Kim. She didn't tell that to you, you told it to her. Now you want to tell me who else in the family had told that to you?
Let me just say something right now, Judge Judy. My family is not about to tell on him. You know, I come from a family of gangsters and stuff like that. I'm sure you probably, you know, can't really understand, but ain't nobody about to tell on him. But bottom line, he did it. He did that.
Did you make a police report? I'm just asking you. I mean, it's not a bad thing.
No, I didn't make, ain't no one, no.
So you didn't?
I
didn't think so, but it's my responsibility to ask.
No.
Okay. Where did you get this chain and medallion from?
I got the chain from Inglewood swap meet, but I got the medallion first when my grandma died. I went up north, and my little brother gave it to me. My little brother's like 21, 22. He gave it to me.
What does it look like? Is it a gold medallion?
It was a gold medallion with 31, surrounded by 31 diamonds. It was 2.45 carats.
Can I see it, please?
Okay. Here goes some pictures of it. There, there, there. If you notice, in every photo, when I had it on. Where I was in my underwear, sleeping, I had it on. Just waking up.
How much did you purchase the chain for at the swap meet?
Oh, here's the receipt. I got them a chain. It was really a little cheap chain, $170.
You work, Johnny?
Yes, I do.
Have you been working, Tony?
No, I'm on a fixed income.
From?
SSI.
What's the nature of your disability?
It's crazy.
Shh! I didn't ask you.
I don't function as well as other folks do, you know what I'm saying?
Especially when you get alcohol in the system.
Are you supposed to be taking medication?
I used to. When I was in Patton, I took some medication. I was taking Haldol and a Cogentin, you know, but I don't need it anymore.
You don't need it anymore because you feel as if you don't need it, or because the doctor says...
They took me off of it. See, when I was in Patton, you know, it's a policy that you must take medication while in the hospital. That was due to one of my antics when I was, you know, doing things that I'm being falsely accused of here today. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I'm a saint, but I didn't do what this man is accusing me of.
Your Honor, if I may say something, his whole history, his whole MO is doing this, taking stuff from people.
Listen to me. Johnny, I want you to pay attention. Do you believe that a mental disability is a disability? That you're sick, just as sick if you have a mental disability than if you have a broken arm or a bad liver or a bad kidney?
This man is sane as me and you, Judge Judy.
You just told me a moment ago.
He's crazy, but
he's crazy
when he has alcohol in him. But I kick it with him when he ain't drinking, he cool. He just like him or any
well,
other.
but that, listen to me, but then that's a problem.
I already know he got a chemical imbalance when he drinks, when he drinks.
So he was drinking.
That's why I left. I went right in,
but you got,
I walked right out.
Yeah, I know. But then you got into mixing it up with him, which you shouldn't have done, because if he's sick, if he's got a chemical imbalance, which is what you say, when he drinks, and you knew he was drinking, then you knew at that time he wasn't thinking clearly. He wasn't thinking clearly. It's just like any other illness, as if somebody hit him over the head and he was unconscious, because he's not himself. So then you, being straight, you were not drinking, you told me that day.
Yeah.
You just get away from it, but you got angry. That's why you mixed it up with him.
He broke the windshield 9 days before
I
this.
understand that, but you told me he had been drinking.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Tony, listen to me. You get yourself into trouble when you drink. And according to you, you've been incarcerated at least once, right? Probably more. And you had a drug problem. And all of these things should suggest to you that you need some sort of assistance. You've been getting it from alcohol, you've been getting it from illegal drugs in the past. So if you should be on a Haldol, or you should be on some other kind of regimented medication, it's ridiculous for you, you know, to go through your life trying to find substitutes for what could very easily be a pill that you take 3 times a day. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay. I think that your nephew here is just fed up. I don't think he did the right thing that day by not walking away.
I did.
But I believe that whether or not you remember it, you took his chain, something that he treasured. You paid $170 for the chain, and I'm going to give you $2,500 for the medallion. That's $2,670. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Yeah, this is case number 251 on the calendar in the matter of Carter versus Wickman. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, huh?
Ms. Carter, based upon your complaint, I gather that you've used the defendant's services as a pet groomer before for your other animals. Is that right?
Yes, it is. I have. I loved her service on my dogs.
You claimed that you took a parrot or a cockatoo or a big bird that you had to her, and she cut the bird's nails.
Correct.
And the bird bled to death. That's what your lawsuit is about.
That's right.
What kind of bird was it?
A lesser softened crested cockatoo. Big name.
And how much did you pay for her?
I traded a rose embroidery machine. We bartered an even trade for Misty Blue at $1,500. And I've got the papers and got the...
Your Honor, she told me $1,200.
No. Well, you set the price. You and the person that you bartered with set the price.
Right.
Who'd you buy it from?
Deb Wallstatt, my witness.
Step up, please. You're Deb?
Yes.
How long have you raised these birds?
7 years.
If I went into a pet store to buy one of these birds, what would I pay for it? If I called a local bird store?
$1,600 to $1,800.
And you're a good friend?
No, I've only met her once.
When you sold her the bird, did you give her any instructions on taking care of the bird?
Yes.
Grooming, etc., nails?
Yes.
Etc.? You gave her instructions?
Yes, I gave her a booklet.
Okay, have a seat.
Thank you.
I may come back to you again.
Okay.
So you bought the bird in January of 2000.
That's right.
When did you take the bird to the defendant?
I took it in June on a Thursday. I don't know the date.
So in June, after 6 months. About 6 months, you took the bird.
To get her nails trimmed because I have little nieces and nephews, and she's so sweet. She would go to the children, but the children were like 5, so I didn't want her to scratch. So I just wanted her nails trimmed so the children could pick her up. She was just a sweetheart.
Tell me about the conversation when you showed up with the bird.
I asked her if she could trim my bird's fingernail. She said she wasn't really prepared, but sure, we'll do it. Let's do it. She moved the dog off the table, and she put my bird on the table.
And that's how you remember it. She said, I'm not really prepared.
Right. She said, I'm not really prepared. And she had a dog on her table. She put the dog down. She goes, let's do your bird. Let's do it.
And what happened when she trimmed the bird's nails?
Big drops of blood. Misty got away from her, fell to the ground, and then she couldn't walk on her nails because she was so hurt. She kind of rolled around.
So the first time she cut one nail, was there any blood?
Gobs. Yes, ma'am.
So why didn't
Gobs, drops.
So after she cut the first nail and there were gobs of blood, why didn't you take the bird and leave?
I did not know that she did anything wrong. You know, I figured she knew what she was doing. It was not an issue to take my bird.
Did you read the book she gave you?
Mm-hmm.
The book say anything about trimming the nails and bleeding?
It was normal. Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
No.
So then she cut the second nail. Was it bleeding?
Mm-hmm.
And then all the bird's nails bled as she cut them?
Yes.
Okay. Then the bird's flailing all over the place. And then what happened?
She did not even have no bird stopper. The ointment to
quick
or powder to stop the blood. She had a little container with empty, and she kept taking my Misty Blue and she kept rubbing its nail like this, and there was nothing to help my Misty Blue.
And then what happened?
I picked Misty Blue up and I left, and she invited me to a lingerie party. I could just pay her there at the lingerie party that night.
So you took the bird and you put the bird in the car?
Yep.
And
I was going to take Misty Blue home. When I got Misty Blue to my house, Misty Blue was dead. And I went and buried Misty Blue in my backyard.
Did you call
Yes.
the defendant?
Yes, I did.
What did you tell her?
I told her Misty Blue died. She told me she was going on a wedding, a marriage,
Yes.
and that was it. She would deal with me 10 days when she got back. She was getting married. She had no time for Misty Blue's death.
Okay, let's hear your version of the events, which is somewhat different from the plaintiff's.
Thank you. Everything so far, I disagree with almost all of it. First of all, it was the beginning of April. It was 2 weeks before my wedding. She didn't come into my shop. She walked to my front door. My place of business is my home. Met her at the front door. I said, I don't do birds. I'm a custom dog groomer. Take it to a vet. The local vets will not do nail cutting. You have to take it to an avian veterinarian. Well, she didn't want to do that. She didn't have money, blah, blah, blah. Please.
Well, what did you say?
Oh.
No, shh, shh.
Okay, I didn't know I couldn't talk.
Don't interrupt.
As
Okay,
a
I'm sorry.
friend, please do me this favor as a friend, as a friend. And I said, as a friend, I will do it. I'm not going to charge you any money.
Ms. Carter,
I will do it as a
stop
friend.
sighing. This is not a presidential debate. Go ahead.
She brought the bird down. I did not put the bird on a grooming table. I said, if I'm going to do this, I want you present, not only present, but to be involved in the clipping. And she held the bird in her hands while I clipped the nails. And as I was peering them back slowly, taking piece by piece on the first nail, she stopped me and said, no, 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 I want them shorter than that. Cut them shorter. And I said, Sheila, they're going to bleed. No, 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 it always does that. That's normal. That's no big deal. It does that all the time. So I took
Am I
it back
saying
a little
this to you?
Now listen to me, Ms.
Yep.
Carter. Do
That's
not
right. That's
speak.
what you said. I then continued on clipping the nails. I told her, I explained to her that, they're going to bleed. I had plenty of quick stop. I run a full-service grooming salon. I did stop the bleeding immediately. Every nail that was clipped was then, cauterized with the quick stop.
They're not supposed to bleed.
Oh, they do bleed if you cut them back that far.
No, I understand. If you cut them back that far,
If
of
she will
course,
let
if you
me-
cut somebody's nail that far, you get the skin, they bleed.
Right.
She was telling you cut them shorter and shorter, and you were cutting them shorter and shorter, and the bird was bleeding.
And I told her, I said, I'm doing this under protest, Sheila. I don't want to cut them that short. And she said, oh, they're really, really long. I don't care if they bleed.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I finished with the nail clipping. The bird was full of blood. She dropped it twice. I had her holding the bird. She dropped it twice on the floor. Then when she was gathering the bird back up, she got blood on the bird, and it was a white bird. So she wanted to bathe it. Well, you don't bathe a bird in a dog tub, but she wanted to do it. Can I please use your tub? I said, well, you can do it yourself, but I'm not going to do it. I don't want to be liable. And she said, that's fine. And she used
Stop
the
tapping.
tub. She used the tub with my huge, I have a commercial dog grooming tub with the big sprayer. She sprayed that little tiny bird with this heavy-duty sprayer, got it wet to the skin, which you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to spray them with a mister. I have bird books. I've got stuff, all magazines showing that you are supposed to mist a bird down or put them in a bird bath, which is an inch or two of water, and let them spray themselves and then preen. She didn't believe me, whatever. She was just very persistent on the fact that she was going to wash her bird. So she washed her bird. Then I gave her a towel to dry it with. I walked out of the room because I had company, and I heard the kennel dryer turn on.
She's nuts.
Whatever.
This girl's
I
nuts.
told you.
Off the wall.
I told you.
I know, I'll shut up.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She left my house with her windows rolled down about this far.
What did I drive, honey?
You drove
What
a truck.
vehicle?
Miss
A
Carter,
pickup truck.
one more time,
Okay,
and you're
I'll
out of
shut
here.
up.
And later today,
All of a sudden, I hear somebody banging on the back of my car and yelling and acting crazy.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sheila Carter says pet groomer Lori Wickman clipped her bird's nails, causing it to bleed to death. Lori says she warned Sheila she had no experience with birds.
Go ahead.
So then I ran in and took the bird out and wrapped it in a towel. And I said, you have to keep this bird wrapped in a towel. It's going to be cold going home, but get it home, put it in a cage, cover the cage so that it reduces the bird's stress. At that point, she said, no, I don't need to do that. And she took the towel off and left it there. I said, Sheila, keep the towel. You can have the towel. I don't care. Just, keep the bird wrapped in a towel because it will get cold. She left my house with her windows rolled down about this far. And for a draft,
What did I drive, honey?
You drove
What
a truck.
vehicle?
Miss
A
Carter,
pickup truck.
one more time,
Okay,
and
I'll
you're out of
shut
here.
up.
I'm telling you.
I know.
No. Listen to me.
I
Look
know.
at me. One more time, you're dismissed and out of here. Go ahead.
So she left with the windows down, and I turned to my company and I said, that bird's not going to live. She left without a towel wrapped around it. It was cold. It was the 1st of April in Minnesota. And she left with that bird not wrapped up in a towel. It was wet to the bone. And if you expose a bird to high or fluctuations in temperature, it can cause severe shock and even death. And I'm almost positive that that's what the bird died from. I don't think it bled to death because it would have died immediately instead of dying 40 minutes later. It was fine until she put it in the tub and then in the dryer. And that was just ridiculous.
Let me see if I can draw you an analogy. Can you imagine taking your father to a doctor? Let's say a doctor who was a podiatrist, takes care of feet.
Yeah.
And said he needs surgery, bypass surgery. The podiatrist said, I've never done that before. And you said, well, we're here already. Are you following where I'm going?
I see where you're going.
Just do me this favor. I have real confidence in you. You know more about medicine than I do, so just take care of it. Isn't that what you did?
In a way, yes, I did. But I did
Yes, you
not
did.
portray myself as knowing anything about the bird.
You don't,
told
just
her
a
I did-
second. You don't have to. Podiatrist doesn't say I know anything about hearts. That's what you did with this bird, according to you. I'm taking your scenario as true. I think that there's a mix of both in what these two stories are. I do believe you said to her, I don't cut birds' nails. I'm a dog groomer. And I do believe she said to you, yeah, but I'm here and the bird's nails need to be cut. Come on, we'll do it together. You didn't want to do it. She twisted your arm.
I was trying to be nice.
My bird.
Shh. Oh, you're almost out. You almost did it. She took the bird to you because you are a groomer. Her head, you groom dogs, you cut their nails, you can groom birds and cut their nails. So she took the dog to you because of your, in her mind, expertise. And all you had to do was say no.
did.
But you did it! That was wrong. That was wrong. People have the ability to say no and mean it. No, I'm sorry, Sheila. I don't do that. As much as I like you, you have to take the bird someplace else. End of conversation. Come to my lingerie party. We'll have a good time. So as nice a lady as you are responsible for the death of this bird. Judgment for the plaintiff and the amount of the request, which is $1,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I do hope that if she does get another bird, she'll at least educate herself on how to take care of it.
I am so happy for the verdict. I won my Misty Blue. I love my Misty Blue.
And now the next case.
All parties on Brownback versus Winters. Step forward.
73-year-old Roberta Brownback is suing homemaker Barbara Winters for a fender bender in the parking lot of a Goodwill. Barbara says she never hit her.
Miss Brownback, according to your complaint, the defendant hit the bumper of your car.
Yes, ma'am.
And damaged it. You want her to pay for the damage.
Yes.
She says she did nothing. And she, in addition, fled the scene, according to you.
Yes.
When did this incident occur?
I think it was on the 8th or 9th of September.
Where?
I had a lady with me, a friend of mine, who is blind from a stroke, and we were giving some stuff to the Goodwill. We were parked in behind the Goodwill, and I was putting her back in my car. All of a sudden, my car reared up. She was very frightened, and I turned around, and I looked, and I said to her, hey, she was moving. After she straightened out her car, I said, you hit my car. She stopped, looked at me, and went like this. Well, I got angry at this, and I dropped the wheelchair, and I got her license number, and I turned her into the police station as a hit and run.
Do you have a copy of that report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
That's where the police called me to identify her. And these are appraisals. These are pictures.
Okay, so what did you do after you got the information from the police department?
I was told I had to go down to the police station, and she told me that I had to identify her. Well, I went in, she had 6 pictures, and immediately I said, it's number 1. And she said, are you sure? I said, yes. And she said, well, that's her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was afraid if I got out, she might get violent or something. Well, she's waving around and yelling.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 73-year-old Roberta Brownback is accusing Barbara Winters of hit and run. Roberta says Barbara backed into her car and fled the scene.
Go ahead. Then she gave me that paper you have and said for me to call her and see if she wanted to settle this in a civil manner. I called her and I asked her. She told me she didn't know what I was talking about. She's sick. She went on and on. And I said, well, ma'am, I'll call you later date. And I called her again. Then she said, I want your phone number, your car license, what kind of car you got, and where you live. I said, fine. I'll be glad to give it to you. And then from there, she didn't want to pay me, so I filed small claims on her.
Okay. Miss Winters, September 8th, in the parking lot, right outside of Goodwill. You were there?
Yes, I was.
Okay. What kind of car were you driving?
A Mercedes 300D, a burgundy color car.
And tell me about what your recollection is of the incident that involved the plaintiff's car.
Okay, I had dropped some stuff off at the charity, and I'm quite familiar with this place because I often take things to the charity. And I was backing up, and all of a sudden I hear somebody banging on the back of my car and yelling and acting crazy. She said something about, you touched my car. And I was a little scared because when people start to act crazy like this, I get worried because we had an incident with one time where my husband, the back of his car was touched. He was parked, and the people came out and said, look, come check the back of your car. And he did. And when he gets back into his car, and he found out that his briefcase had been stolen. So you
didn't think this little old lady is going to steal your briefcase?
I didn't really know.
You don't mind it like that. You know what I mean.
Right.
You know what I mean. She's not going to steal your property.
I did not act crazy.
Right.
Anyway, I've had a few unpleasant experiences like this.
So you left.
So I left, and I did not do this. I think I maybe did this. In other words, calm down. It's okay. But I did not feel that I had touched her car. And I was afraid if I got out, she might get violent or something. I didn't see anybody. Well, she's waving around and yelling. So.
All right, so you're contacted by the plaintiff sometime later. Is that right?
Yeah, I got a letter from the police department, actually.
Okay, and what did you do?
I thought, oh, I wonder if it was that little thing where that lady banged on the back of my car. And I looked at the back of my car, and I saw no indication of any bumping or anything. I have a rubberized kind of a car, and there's no way that the damage that I've been accused of could have happened. So I went to the police department, and the detective interviewed me, and we took a look at the back of my car, and she said, no, I don't see any evidence of any damage to the back of your car. And I do have a statement actually from her, and I do have some pictures of my car.
Okay.
Oh, and then I have the pictures, and I think I'll show you the pictures. One is the rear bumper of my car, which you will see is tan, because there's no dents on her car.
You drive a Buick Century?
Yes, Your Honor. I gave her my home address, my license number of my car, in good faith. Last Sunday, this lady came to my house. The neighbor upstairs saw her. She took her Mercedes bumper to bumper and hit me again to take pictures.
No, she didn't hit you. What she did was listen to me, she didn't hit your car. What she did was she put a bumper to bumper
right.
to see if there was a place.
Just, you know.
Whatever. Listen, she's entitled to do that. That's a very smart thing to do. She said, if I'm being accused of something, I want to see if it's possible.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Look, Miss Winters, there isn't a question in my mind that this lady is not crazy and that there were no marks on her car beforehand. She acted responsibly and immediately by going to the police because you took off. You took off, according to you, because you were afraid that she was crazy and that she might do something like steal your briefcase, steal your property, do something else. So you decided not to confront the situation immediately by getting out of your car and going to look in the back and say, listen, let me see the damage you claim that I did, which would have resolved this whole dispute. If you had stopped immediately, gotten out of your car, I assume you have a cell phone, right? If you're afraid of her, you say, just a minute, I'm not getting out of my car, I'm calling the police. We'll wait for the police to arrive. Possibility?
Possibility.
But you decided not to do that. You just decided to take off. You owe her $410 for the repairs to her car. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
Parties are. This is case number 255 on the calendar in the matter of Tucker versus Marquez. How you doing, Judge?
Good. How are you, Bird?
Doing fine.
Good.
Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Tucker, your complaint is that the defendant, who is a total stranger to you, damaged your car in a parking lot of a bar.
Yes, ma'am.
When did this happen?
Saturday, September 2nd, after midnight, so it'd probably be Sunday, early morning.
How long had you been in the bar?
For about 45 minutes.
You drove?
Yes, ma'am.
Parked your car in the parking lot?
Yes.
What happened when you came outside?
Miss Marquez was coming across the street towards the club, and she had not made it to the curb yet, and she had asked if I had seen a Lorraine Marin. And I told her, no, I haven't, and I really don't give a about that girl.
Why would you answer that way?
Well, Your Honor, I was a little bit irritated that she came up to me because this girl has a bad reputation, and I was in a
Which
bad
girl?
mood. Lorraine
Which girl?
Marin.
Yeah.
And I was in a little bit bad mood, and I was a little bit rude to her. But I don't care for her. She has a really bad reputation in our community. And
you mean this Lorraine has a bad
Yes.
reputation, but you didn't know her at all?
No, I didn't.
You were in a bad mood?
Yeah.
So you were rude?
A little bit.
Okay. What happened next?
She stepped up onto the curb to the sidewalk and said, you have a really bad attitude.
Which you did?
Yes.
Okay.
And she says, obviously, you don't know who I am. And I told her, I really don't care who you are. And at that time, she kept coming forward to me, and I said, what are you going to do, beat me up? And she didn't say anything. And she proceeded to just stand about 4 feet away from me with her back up to the wall of the club entrance.
So, she's standing with her back towards the club entrance.
At that point, I didn't want anything to deal with her. I did not want to fight with her. I just got in my car and left. She didn't say anything. She was really quiet. So when I was pulling out, I noticed her hands were in her jacket pocket, and she was just looking at me. She pulled out a bottle of beer and hurled it at my car. And it hit my window like about right here, and if it would have hit 4 inches down lower, this would have been a whole different case. She would have hit me in the head. I could have been blind. I could have, been maimed for life.
Was your car window open or closed?
Yes, it was open all the way down, and there was glass all over me, and I was completely wet. I had a prior burn cooking, and it had opened up from the glass, and it was bleeding.
So what did you do?
I got out of my car. She was kind of just standing there. I think she had thought she had made her mark, but she didn't. And I went up to her, and I got her by the nape of the neck, and I held her down away from my body, and I told the patrons in the bar to call the cops. I'm putting her under citizen's arrest.
And somebody called the police?
Someone did call the police.
Police arrived?
The police did not arrive. She started to struggle and squirm, and she was saying, let me go, let me go. And I was feeling a little bit uncomfortable detaining her. So I let her go, and she darted off around the club and down some dark railroad tracks. And at that point, my friends urged me. I was bleeding, kind of a little bit stunned. So I went home, and I called the police. They said, I'm over here. Come and take a police report.
And did they?
Yes, they did.
How did you find out her name?
Because we live in a really small neighborhood. It's Niles, and we have a mutual friend that works at a pizza parlor in our town.
But you had never had any contact with her
I've never
before.
seen her before. But her family has a very...
I don't care about her family. I'd like to see the photographs that you seem to have, and I'd like to see the police report, please. Okay, and you actually saw the defendant pick up this bottle and hit your car with it?
I saw her put her hand in her coat and take it out of the coat and go like this.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Marquez, would you tell me your version of the events, please?
Yes, ma'am. On September 3rd, it was past midnight, I had been out with Lorraine. I somehow lost her because I don't go inside the bars. She had been sitting, playing pool, whatever she was doing inside the Derby, and I went back there to not pick her up, but to meet with her, and I didn't go inside the bar. The bar door was closed, and she was exiting the bar. Terry Tucker was exiting the bar, and I asked her, hey, is Lorraine in there? She said, I don't know who the Lorraine is, and I don't really care where she is. And I just stood there and I was like, man, you know, you got an attitude problem, lady. And she's all, I know I do. What are you going to do about it? I wasn't exactly looking for a physical altercation with her. I just wanted to ask, I asked a simple yes or no question. She proceeded to just keep calling me all kinds. She called me a Mexican hussy, a chicken. She called me all kinds of like, and this was, I hadn't even spoken after this. I had just still asked a simple question. And see, I'm not accustomed to be spoken to this way, especially when I'm not, you know, doing anything to her. And I just stood there and I'm not going to walk off. I proceeded to wait for her. And she just kept talking and talking and talking and calling me all kinds of names. She then got in her car and then she turned it on, she reversed. I was still standing there and she rolled down her window and she's all, I told you weren't going to do nothing, you chicken. Then I started saying something back to her and I was like, you know, what do you want me to do? You know, I wasn't looking for a physical, any kind of problems with this lady. And she, after I started yelling, you know, back at her, because I wasn't yelling at her when I was standing there, she got out of her car and she walks up to me and she's all, watch this, you little, and she grabbed my hair and I've never been tossed around like this, okay? She grabbed my hair, wrapped it around her wrist, got her nails into my scalp, and then said, you're like coming with me, and she walked me off to the side. At this point, I'm totally hunched over trying, I'm like in shock, going, oh my God, you know, because I couldn't do anything about it. And she starts pounding on the bar door, and I'm like thinking it's funny right now because I'm like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. I just asked her, is Lorraine in there, you know, how, and they open the door and she walks in and my head smacks the side of the door where the, you know, whatever. Okay. And then I started to taste blood and I started, you know, I was bleeding, my eye was messed up, my gums were bleeding, I got scraped along the side of the door, and then I was like, I'm bleeding, let me go, you know, come on. And then when I heard she was calling the cops, yeah, I started to wiggle and squirm around. I was appalled. I couldn't believe that I'm getting my, you know, or excuse my, I started squirming, let me go, let me go, let me go.
And you finally got free?
Yeah, she let me go. There's no way I could have gotten free if she would only let me go.
Where did you go?
Walked home. I lived like 2 minutes from the place. And that's when I went home and I said, I'm bleeding, there's blood clotted at the bottom of my nostrils. And she opens the door and she's like, I'm like, you weren't at the bar, you know, where were you?
Listen to my question.
Huh?
So you got home.
Mm-hmm.
Did you call the police?
No.
You were just severely assaulted. Blood is all over your mouth. Blood is caking in your nose. You were assaulted by a perfect stranger after asking a simple question. When, for the first time, were you contacted by the police?
The next day, I was in the shower, and the doorbell rang. I then said, who is it? It says, Fremont Police, ma'am.
Okay,
They
so it
gave
was
me-
the next day
Yes.
that you were contacted by the police in connection with the plaintiff's complaint of vandalism.
Yes.
Prior to this incident, have you ever been arrested?
What does that have to do? I know what it. Shh. Yes, I have.
Speak not. I'm not speaking to you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Are you currently, Miss Marquez, taking any prescription medication?
No, I am not, ma'am.
Any other kind of medication?
No, I am not, ma'am.
Do you understand where I'm going?
Oh, yeah.
Bert and I have been together for a long time, Miss Marquez. Bert's got the same kind of nose that I do.
And later today,
You never paid her for the car.
She never asked for the money until that ketchup incident.
So you had to fight over the ketchup and she wanted
She threw
the
a
money.
fit over.
Judge Judy. Terry Tucker is suing Becky Marquez for throwing a beer bottle at her car. Becky says Terry attacked her for no reason.
Okay. When was the last time you were arrested?
August 31st, 2000. Charges were dropped. No case.
What were you arrested for?
I don't care to discuss that. That's not what I'm here for.
Prior to the 31st of August, when were you arrested?
I don't see what that has to do with this. That's all fine. Yeah, I've been arrested more than once. That's fine. I have no problem admitting that. I don't care if I win or lose this. I am here to make a statement that I did not do anything at all to this perfect stranger. I asked her a question, and that is it. Regardless as to my record, that's nobody's business. Well, yours or hers or anybody's.
Are you currently, Miss Marquez, taking any medication?
Am I?
Yes.
No, I am not, ma'am.
Any prescription medication?
No, I am not, ma'am.
Any other kind of medication?
No, I am not, ma'am.
Okay. So now you're going to have my ruling. Ruling is based on common sense. Do you understand where I'm going?
Oh, yeah.
Bert and I have been together for a long time, Miss Marquez. Bert's got the same kind of nose that I do. Right? What doesn't seem to fit, Miss Marquez, with regard to your statement is, common sense would dictate, madam, that if someone had just for absolutely no reason assaulted me, causing me to bleed in the mouth, have kicked up blood in my nostrils, pulled my hair, banged my head into a wall, the first thing that I would do when I made it home that couple of blocks is to pick up the phone, call the police, and say, this perfect stranger, who absolutely had a bad attitude,
Exactly.
just assaulted me. This is where it happened. You did nothing. On the other hand, the plaintiff contacted the police immediately. The police responded. The police noted damage to the car. The police noted glass all over the car, totally consistent with someone throwing some sort of an object at the car. Common sense would dictate that when someone is the victim of a crime, in this case vandalism, they want the right person apprehended. They don't want the wrong person apprehended. They want the right person to be apprehended and to be punished, right? So there would be no reason that she would give your name as the person who threw the bottle at her car unless it was true. Let me see the estimates of the damage, please.
The last thing I'm going to do is bring to your attention that I've been arrested before, but since it's all out in the open, obviously due to this, I am on certain court-ordered probation. The last thing I'm going to do is call the cops and bring them to me for any reason. I wasn't fatally injured. I was going to get over it. I took a shower, cleared up, had a bruise for a couple of days. The last thing I'm going to do is call the police, because when that happens, most of the time they're not in my favor. I'm not going to call the police. They're not. It wasn't necessary.
You were the victim of an assault.
And I'm not going to call the police. I don't call the cops on nobody, especially not myself. The further away I stay from them, the better off I am. Period.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount
That's
of
fine.
$758.
That's fine.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Yeah.
I anticipate there may be a little bit of problems.
We want the truth to come out, and I will talk to Terry later.
Just tell the truth and do what you think is right.
And now the next case.
All parties on Safdar versus Johnson. Step forward.
25-year-old waitress Violet Safdar is suing former friend, 25-year-old waitress Melissa Johnson, for the unpaid balance on a used car. Melissa is countersuing for repair bills.
You and the defendant used to be friends, and then you made the stupid mistake of selling her a used car.
Yes.
Never do that. And it is your claim that she owes you $500, which was the agreed-upon price.
Yes.
She says that the repairs cost more than you told her they were going to cost. She's countersuing for $1,600, And she says you stole the pink slip to her car, right?
Yes.
And that this whole thing would not have come down to a lawsuit, except that you had a fight over something at your place of employment about filling up ketchup bottles.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Didn't you ever hear the
Left it?
expression?
That's not right
I want
either.
you to try receiving and stop talking. Maybe you'll be more successful in life.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Violet Safdar says former friend Melissa Johnson owes her for the unpaid balance on a car. Melissa says Violet lied about its condition.
Okay, just for my own curiosity, you didn't tell me what the fight was about the ketchup bottle, so who's going to tell me about that?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay, randomly at work, to finish our end of day side work for our job.
You are both waitresses?
Yes. So I asked her, are you going to help me with my side work? She said no. At that point, I didn't say anything. I stayed a half hour overtime to finish my work. She stayed. We went home. I was living with her at the time. We went home. And from then, we haven't talked.
And was the side work filling up the ketchup bottles?
And syrups.
And syrups?
Yes. Which are 2 big jobs instead of like 2 small jobs, or like setups and sugar and salt. So.
Okay. When did you sell her this car?
June 2000.
What kind of car was it?
A Honda 1986 Prelude.
What was the agreement?
The agreement was that the car needed, that I knew of, $600 to $700 worth of work, and she would then pay me when the work was done.
Just a minute. What was the agreed upon price of the car?
$500.
Is that right?
She said when I was able to make the payments or pay whenever I could the $500 when the car was fixed. To this day, the car is still not fixed. I've made almost $3,000 in repairs.
Well, why didn't you stop at $600?
I had already put too much in it, and it was
no.
It was stupid to just stop. Because why did I put that much? I'm not getting that back. If I put that in it, why?
Miss Johnson, you took the car to a mechanic. What was the first thing that the mechanic said to you when you brought the car there?
They told me it would cost around probably about $600, and then 2 days later, it broke down again. It was another problem.
Initially
Another.
Initially, you took it to a place of your choice. They told you it would cost you between $600 and $700 to fix it, which is exactly what she said to you, right? So then you started to fix it.
Yes.
So she did not purposely deceive you.
No, but she didn't know what all was wrong with the car.
That's
either.
your problem. You buy a car that's 14 years old. The fact that you decided to spend more money doesn't mean that you get another farthing from her. So your counterclaim is dismissed.
Well, I don't think that I should have had to put that much into it.
You shouldn't have.
No,
it's not her fault, it's your fault.
And should I go and
Listen
spend
to me.
even more money on another car? That's not right.
No,
I have this
no,
car.
Ms.
I should have-
Johnson,
I'm dealing with it.
Don't try to talk over me. No. You shouldn't spend any more money on this car.
So should
Didn't
I
you
just
ever hear
left
the
it?
expression?
That's not right
I
either.
want you to try receiving and stop talking. Maybe you'll be more successful in life. Did you ever hear the expression, throwing good money after bad? Did you ever hear that expression?
No.
Bird, did you ever hear the expression, throwing good money after bad?
Every time I spend bad money.
Right? Would you keep pouring thousands of dollars into a 14-year-old car?
No.
You would say, I'm going to cut my losses, and instead of spending $3,000 to get this car fixed, once the $600 is over, I'm going to unload this car. Maybe I can get a couple of $100 for it and buy myself a car that maybe runs. It's not her fault that you decided to put all this money in the car. She did not commit fraud against you. She had the same information you got from your own person. Nobody can tell that a car is going to continually break down. Nobody.
Yeah,
so
even
your
the mechanic said I would be back. Even the mechanic the first time said I would keep coming back.
Counterclaim is dismissed.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You still have the car?
Yes, not really, but it's broke down in Corona. I don't run now.
Do you want it?
Not really.
Good. You want to sign over the pink slip to her?
It's still in my name.
Shh. So you still own the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Go and get it.
I've put too much money
Go and
into
get
it to just give it up like that.
Well,
she did sign it over. She gave me the pink slip, and then she went and deceived me and took it out of the car.
Listen to me. Listen to me. You never paid her for the car. Shh. Listen to me. You
She
can't have
gave
it
me the
both
pink
ways.
slip. She did give me the pink slip, and then
Ms.
she took
Johnson,
it back from
pay
me.
attention. Do you want the car?
Yes, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to resell it. Now I put too much money into it. It's useless to just throw it away like that.
Fine, then you have to give her $500.
I worked hard for that much.
Just listen to me. Then you have to give her $500.
I don't believe I should. No, it's...
You didn't pay her for the car.
She never asked for the money until that ketchup incident.
So you had a fight over the ketchup and she wanted the
She threw
money.
a fit over ketchup, so she asked for the money.
Ms. Johnson, you want the car or you want to pay her for the car?
I don't want the car, but I'm going to keep it because I spent too much money on it.
Then you have to pay her. Now what do you want to do?
I guess I don't have a choice, but I don't feel I should have to.
You prepared to sign this car over to her?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Sign the car over to her. Complete the paperwork, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
As this case number 261 on the calendar in the matter of Fisher versus Coaches. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You're welcome. You may be seated.
Mr. Fisher, the defendant used to live with your current fiancée.
Yes, Your Honor.
You've been living with, her first name is Melissa,
Yes, Your Honor.
for 3 years.
Approximately 3 years, yes, Your
And how old is the child?
5 years old.
You claim that the defendant maliciously and willfully did several things. He first filed charges against you with internal affairs. You are a police officer.
Yes, Your Honor.
In addition to that, he filed for a restraining order against you, causing you to have to hire counsel.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in addition, he filed charges with Child Protective Services alleging that you had either abused and or neglected his daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
All of those charges, according to you, were dismissed.
They were, Your Honor.
And you want to be compensated for all your aggravation.
Yes, Your Honor.
And your defense, Mr. Gatchez, is that you had a right to file these charges.
That is correct.
Okay. When was the incident that precipitated the filing of these charges?
Well, Your Honor, for the last 3 years, this man has harassed myself and my fiancée, Melissa. He couldn't get through the courts to get Melissa, so he elected to in turn attack me, Your Honor.
Were there custody proceedings involving the child?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that right, sir?
That's correct. The judge ordered for us to have the same visitations and the same rights, which is half and half, 50-50. And I got proofs of that.
Let me see what you have. Did you ever sign this stipulation for custody, sir?
Yes, I did.
Because it's not signed here.
Your Honor, it hasn't...
Shh! Melissa signed it. Why haven't you signed it?
I requested these copies from the lawyer, and he still has them.
No. You have this thing here,
Okay.
Mr. Gatchez. This is a letter that was sent to you. It's a stipulation regarding the custody and visitation order that was agreed to after you all went to mediation.
That's right.
And Melissa signed it. It was awaiting, signed it back in December of 1999.
Correct.
It was awaiting your signature so it could be so ordered by the judge. Why did you never sign it?
The reason why, because I remember now that there were some things that they were still not settled, like the taking our kid to counseling. That was one.
Well, what did you do to follow up on it, sir?
I haven't had money. I have been on disability, and I haven't had money to go to court, Your Honor.
I mean, you go through a whole process. A psychologist, mediator spends hours, if not days, discussing the recommendations with you. They come up with a plan that you both agreed to, and it's clearly laid out here. And then in order to resolve the whole matter, forwarded to you is the stipulation for you to sign so this matter can be resolved. Now it's a year, and you haven't done it. That's outrageous.
Okay.
Outrageous. Okay. Let's start out with the Child Protective Services, please. Did you, in fact, sir, file charges against him with Child Protective Services?
Not against Mr. Fisher, or what I called because I wanted him to investigate. I wanted to put a complaint.
So what was the complaint that you put
The
in?
complaint was about the incident that happened that night, which was Mr. John Fisher, yelling at my daughter, using bad language.
What did he say? Well, your daughter must have told you this, right?
No, that
You
happened
were
the same
there.
night when I was dropping my daughter off, when the incident happened.
Oh, well, tell me about the incident, sir, that caused you to call in a report to Child Protective Services.
It was more verbal abuse.
Tell me about it. What did you tell them? How did you tell them that he abused your daughter?
By him yelling at me in front of her, using bad language, ordering my daughter to get out of my truck, and scaring my daughter, using bad language.
Tell me what he did.
Well, what he did was that the night of the 23rd, he arrived in his truck. He parked in the driveway, and
Of whose house?
his house.
So he came to his house and he parked his truck in his driveway.
Correct. He got out of
Yes.
his truck, came over to me.
What were you doing there?
I was waiting for her mother to arrive from work.
So you were waiting
Yes.
to return her from your custody arrangement?
Correct, yes. And he approached me. He came over where I was parked at. My daughter was right there with me inside the truck. And he started using profanity. Like,
What did he say?
he said, what's wrong with me? Okay, and I go, okay. And he ordered my daughter to get out of the truck and to go inside the house. My daughter refused. He told him, he told my daughter twice to get out of the truck. My daughter was scared and she jumped into my arms. And that's what happened.
Don't talk to each other, please. Just look at me.
And he ordered my daughter twice to get out of the truck, okay? And he asked me why the heck I was telling my daughter not to go with them. So I ain't gonna leave my daughter with someone like you in this type of mood that he was in, because he did stink,
Just a second. Look at me, not him. What happened next?
He said, he told me to get out of the truck, talk man to man, okay? So what I did, I got out of the truck because I was afraid, I was afraid of my...
So you got out of the truck and what happened?
I got out of the truck and started, using more bad language, okay? He said, telling me that he's a big American guy, that he has a big job, that how come I do not help her mother with money. And he was not making sense that night.
That makes perfect sense to me, sir. You look like a very healthy man to me. Why aren't you working? It says you don't work here. Just a second. Answer my question.
Sure.
You look very strong and very healthy. It says here, in one part of this report that I just read, that it would be very nice for your daughter to spend the time with you because you don't work. Why don't you work?
Because I'm on disability.
What
Your
kind of
Honor.
disability are you
I
on?
got bad knees and I got bad back.
You got bad knees and you got a bad back.
Correct.
You drive a truck?
I'm a delivery driver, correct, Your Honor.
You were a delivery driver. You were driving a truck at the time you drove your daughter home, right?
That's right.
Yeah. When was the last time you sent child support for your daughter or supported her?
There had not been any court orders about child support, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'd like to add...
I'll get to you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did she get hurt?
Yeah, many times.
Many times,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
What, do you think I was there? It happens.
You're right.
Of course. Think I'm just a good guesser? They don't keep me around here because I'm gorgeous, you know.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deputy Officer John Fisher says his fiance's ex-boyfriend, Jorge Gatches, falsely accused him of child abuse and making threats.
Now, when did you call Child Protective Services?
The same night after I left the scene,
What did you tell them?
I told him I just wanted to get more information, and I wanted to let him know what happened that night, that my daughter was crying and she was scared. My daughter was refusing to stay alone with them, which she had done it many times before, Your Honor.
Now, when did you file a restraining order against him?
A couple days later.
Why?
Because the same night when I was dropping off my daughter, he threatened me with, because he said that he knows the law, he works with the law, and he knows the law much better.
Yes?
That he knows the law much better than me, okay? And
I think you know a little bit about the civil law, at least very well, at least about workman's compensation and disability. You know a little bit about that. You have a lawyer, right? You have a lawyer, right?
yes, I do.
You hurt yourself. Let me see if I can put this together. I bet you hurt yourself while you were on your job, right?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
You think I'm just a good guesser? They don't keep me around here because I'm gorgeous, you know. You hurt yourself on your job. You have a lawsuit pending against your employer?
That's correct, Your Honor.
How long have you had a lawsuit pending against your former
It
employer?
has been about 2.5 years.
And you go to see a doctor regularly?
Yes.
You go to a chiropractor, perhaps?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Yes, of course. Could almost write the script, right?
You're good.
Would you prefer to sit down, Mr. Gotches? Is your back bothering you?
I'm fine. Thank you.
I know you're fine. So he threatened you that he knows the law better than you. I'm not so sure about that, Mr. Fisher. I think he's got the system pretty well played out.
I think so too, Your Honor.
Right. Okay, now let's get to internal affairs. Did you file a complaint against Mr. Fisher with internal affairs?
Not that I can recall that one.
Okay. Do you have any documentation that
Your
Mr.
Honor,
Gotch... Let me finish the question, Mr. Fisher.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any documentation that Mr. Gotch has filed an independent complaint with regard to the incident of the 23rd of August with the police department?
Yes, Your
Internal
Honor.
Affairs. Can I see it,
A
please?
letter from Internal Affairs.
Bottom line is that they, in effect, decided not to pursue any of these complaints because, according to this letter that was sent to you, sir, while you may find Deputy Fisher's conduct objectionable, your complaint does not describe any unlawful conduct. So clearly, you did send a letter of complaint to the Sheriff's Internal Affairs Division, right?
Yes, I did.
Well, that's what I asked you before. I don't understand why this verbal confrontation took place at the beginning, sir. Mr. Gotches, if you got to the house and Melissa wasn't home, instead of sitting outside and waiting for her, why didn't you just either go to your house, take Melissa out for soda, come back when she was there? Why did you sit there and wait for her?
That night, my daughter, it was the second time that she didn't want to stay alone with him. Plus, you know, he's sick.
Stay alone with whom?
Excuse me?
Stay alone with whom?
With Mr. Fisher. She refuses to stay alone with him.
Well, that's not true, sir. I guarantee you, sir, they've been living together for almost 3 years, and I guarantee you there are times when your daughter stays home with Mr. Fisher. Without Melissa. Nowhere in this psychiatric and psychological report and the mediation report does it suggest that Mr. Fisher is an inappropriate custodian. It doesn't say that.
Okay.
You live with a child who's 5 years old. Sometimes you're going to raise your voice, right?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Fisher has never used any corporal punishment with regard to your child, right?
That's not what my daughter told me one time.
Oh, well, tell me what your daughter told you
That
one
she got
time.
pushed in the bathtub by him, but he came out with a different story, so I left it to that. And also her mother called me saying that it was just an accident that it happened in the bathtub.
Well, does that sometimes happen, Mr. Gotches? An accident in the bathtub? Shh. Does that sometimes happen, sir?
Yes.
Let me take you back to when your daughter, and you were living with her at the time, was about 1.5 years old. She started to walk. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do you remember her falling?
Yes.
You remember her falling next to a table?
Yes.
Did she get hurt?
Yeah, many times.
Many times,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
What, do you think I was there? You think I had a camera in your living room?
No.
It happens. You think somebody should notify Child Protective Services because you weren't watching her carefully enough?
You're right.
Of course.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He claims poverty, but he runs up attorney bills to thousands of dollars. Where does he get this money? And then he gets in court and he can't even keep his lies straight, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John Fisher says Jorge Gotches filed false charges against him, causing him to hire a lawyer.
Listen, you may not like him because he's not working, and you know he's full of baloney.
He's a liar. He's so bored with his life, he drives around the block, getting dizzy watching our house. He's a thorn in our side, and he's waiting for us to get married so that he can take us to court and use my income so he can sponge off the system some more for child support.
Listen to me, Mr. Fisher.
It's the way he is, Your Honor.
Mr. Fisher, you're angry.
I'm not angry, Your Honor.
No, Mr. Fisher, you're angry. And you may have a right to be angry.
Your Honor.
What?
That night did happen. Well, he did threaten me with my life. He said that he was going to send me back, you know, deported back to my country because he knows a friend that lives up the street that lives for the INS, that he knows the system much better than I do, and that he is not afraid to take me in pieces.
Okay.
Your
And
Honor, this
because
man
I was afraid of my life, I did try to get legal counsel, and they told me what to do, and that's what I did. That's why I followed all this process, because I felt, danger for my life and for my daughter, not just, physically, but also by my daughter's health, because this man over here is taking medication for tuberculosis, and he can also infect my daughter with it.
If you knew what you were talking about, you wouldn't be talking.
What's the medication that you're
Skylar,
taking
listen
for?
to me. I think we should have different positions here. Why don't you go over there?
Sure.
I'm not happy with the fact that the two of you share physical custody of a 5-year-old child and can't at least be civil to each other.
Your Honor, I could be totally civil with this man if he would quit running up attorney bills. He claims poverty, but he runs up attorney bills to thousands of dollars. Where does he get this money? He had enough nerve to call my house and ask Melissa for a loan to pay his attorney bills that he's ran up to $10,000 or $12,000.
Which attorney? For which attorney?
For the one over the custody issue. This man, every time you turn around, we're in court. I personally, myself, have paid around $6,000 in attorney bills because of frivolous motions and stuff like this, restraining orders, and then he gets in court and he can't even keep his lies straight, Your Honor. This man compounds lies so bad he can't even remember the first lie he told.
Okay.
If he was so scared that night, Your Honor,
he wasn't so
why
scared.
did he get, well, that's what he claims in the TRO. Why did he get out of his truck?
Why did you approach me to my truck?
You know,
That's
why
none
did
of
he,
your
if I
business.
had guns and all this other stuff he
You
says,
do.
what?
I don't want you to talk to each other.
The only reason he knows I have guns is because of the line of work I'm in. His daughter has never, ever seen a gun in my house, has never seen me carry a gun. I make it a point not to have guns around.
Listen, I strongly urge you, Mr. Gatches, there is a stipulation here. Melissa signed it. It was waiting for a judge's signature, and there is no reason in the world why you should not sign this thing and put an end to the court works amongst you. Do you understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Fisher,
Yes, Your Honor.
you think that you've acted wholly appropriately, listen to me, wholly appropriately on the evening of August 23rd?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you say anything to him about, if you want a nice car like this, why don't you get a job?
No, Your Honor, what was said was, he says, you think you're somebody because you're a cop and you drive a $40,000 truck, and I simply said to him, I'm sorry you drive a piece of... I wake up every morning and go to work, that's why I drive a new truck. That's exactly what I
You can
said.
tell that he was using profanity in front of my daughter. Why does he do that?
He may not be perfect, Mr. Gatches. You're not perfect either. We know that. About a lot of things.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
So everything was dismissed. Did you have to hire an attorney?
Yes, Your Honor, this was my job.
Okay.
They took my gun from me.
They did?
Yes, Your Honor.
For how long?
For 11 days, Your Honor.
And how much did you pay the lawyer that you hired?
I paid him $1,300. On top of that, I had a $196 filing fee.
Okay. Mr. Fisher, malicious prosecution suggests that charges were filed that had absolutely no basis, in fact. Was it malicious? I don't think so. I think it was stupid. Mr. Gatches, I believe that Mr. Fisher should not have any out-of-pocket expenses with regard to your complaint against him, and I'm awarding him $1,496 for the charges that you filed against him, which caused him to have to retain counsel. That's the judgment of the court. That's all. Believe me, you'll be much better off if you try to get along. Thank you.
Now, this is case number 179 on the calendar in the matter of Howard versus Yancey. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
I have two cases in this mishmash that I'm going to try to sort out. According to you, Mr. Howard, you and the defendant dated for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have certain complaints against her that date back to December
Yes, ma'am.
of 1999.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
So let's deal with them. First, you claim that your now ex-girlfriend,
Yes, ma'am.
sometime in early December, was angry with you about something and she keyed your car.
Certainly.
Certainly. Then, after she keyed your car, a couple of days later, you had a fight and she vandalized your house.
Right.
And then you complain that in April you bought her a ring.
Yes, ma'am.
So first she vandalized your car, then she vandalized your house, and then you bought her a ring.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I mean, I'm trying to just follow the scenario here.
Okay.
And you claim that this ring that you purchased for her was not an engagement ring, and there was an agreement with her that she would pay for half of the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what you want, half of the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me the circumstances surrounding her keying your car.
It was about 7:45 in the evening. She called me and said, I'm getting off work. Can you come and get me? So I go out to pick her up. She got in the car, and I said we were probably traveling for probably about 10 or 15 minutes. And out of the middle of nowhere, we're sitting at the red light, and she smacks me. And I'm like, what was that about? And she was like, because I think it was one of her friends indicated to her that they saw somebody in the car with me earlier that day.
Of the female persuasion.
Yes, ma'am. So I said, Chris, what are you talking about? I've been at work all day. What are you talking about? So I proceeded, because I had to go back to my office to pick up one of my employees. So I went back to my office. I got out of my truck. I went into the building. When I came back, one of my employees said, she just keyed your truck.
Well, I
And
can't hear
said,
that, sir.
Huh?
Unless you have the employee here, I can't hear what somebody else said.
Okay. And I asked her, I said, did you just key my truck? She said, yeah.
So you asked her?
Yeah, I asked her. And she said, yeah, I keyed your truck.
Why'd you do that?
I didn't, Your Honor.
Did you say you had?
No.
Did you key it a little bit? Now listen, that's not saying he didn't forgive you,
Okay.
because he might have forgiven you later, because he did buy the ring, right?
Right.
But you have to tell me the truth, because then if you tell a lie to me once, then I don't believe anything else that you say. Do you understand?
Yes.
Did you key his truck a little bit?
No, Your Honor, I didn't.
Did you have any discussion with him about keying your truck?
No, not that I did it, but we discussed it.
When?
I don't remember the dates or whatnot, but I was driving his truck one day, and I noticed that it was dented and scratched up. And I said, you know, your truck is keyed up. And he said that he had no knowledge of it.
Okay. So after she said, according to you, that yes, she keyed your truck, what did you do?
I was angry about my truck, and I asked her, I said, you know, why do you always tear up my car when you're mad at me? My car doesn't do anything to you. You know what I'm saying?
And did you see her the next day?
As a matter of fact, I did, because I indicated to her, I said, well, my insurance company says if I know who vandalized the truck, then I have to file charges against them, you know? And she was like, well, I can't believe you're going to file charges against me. I'm not going to file charges against you.
So you signed a statement to the insurance company that you didn't know.
I never signed a statement. I didn't even file the claim, Your Honor.
You have pictures of the scratch marks?
As a matter of fact, I don't, because when we went to get them developed, yesterday they exposed them.
So you have no pictures?
No, ma'am, I don't.
You have an estimate?
No, I didn't, because
Fine, then let's move on from the truck. Let's move on to the house.
Okay.
Tell me what happened.
Well, I had some friends that came over. In particular, one of my friends that came over there, she suspected that I was messing around with. And that wasn't necessarily the truth.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, no ma'am. Chris had really aggravated me that particular day. So I kind of wanted her to leave. But Chris is one of those people who just would not leave. All right? So I asked another young lady if she would take Chris out the house and go for a ride or whatever. And she said, yeah. So the young lady and Chris left and went for a ride. So I went upstairs to take a shower. Chris came back. She was ringing the doorbell. My instructions to the people who were at my house that particular night was, if Chris comes back, do not let her in. So when they refused to let her in, Chris broke the window.
Did you break the window?
I didn't mean to break the window, Your Honor.
So the answer is you broke the window?
Yes, I did break the window.
And how did you break the window?
Knocking on it. It was a thin window. I was knocking on the window. At first I was ringing the doorbell. As I was knocking on the window, my hand went straight through the window. No cuts or bruises.
Okay. And then what happened?
Chris was pulling off in her car as I was coming downstairs. So we started to clean up all the glass. About 15 minutes later, Chris came back, and she stabbed my back tire out my car.
Did you see her do that?
As a matter of fact, I did, because I couldn't get out the house in time enough before she was able to get back to her car. And I did get back to her car, but she had rolled her window up and took off.
Were you really mad?
I didn't do that, Your Honor.
Didn't slash his tire?
No.
If I might say something, Ashante was a witness to the fact that she did stab my tire.
Step up. Over there. You were there that evening?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me, where were you when you saw her slash the tire?
On the couch.
You were sitting on the couch?
Yes, because I heard somebody pull it back up. So I looked out the window because the window was already broken, so we was trying to fix it. She was getting out of her car, running up to the car, stabbing her tire, jumped back in her car and burrowed out. So, yes, Your Honor, she slashed the tire. I was there. I seen that.
Okay, so she slashed your tire.
Yes.
Did you have it fixed?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I did.
How much did it cost you?
It was approximately $148.47.
So you bought a new tire?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And you have a bill for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
Yes.
Okay, so you forgave her for breaking your window, you forgave her for slashing your tire.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Your Honor, I felt as if it was necessary to forgive her because, in many senses, it was inappropriate for me to have a guest at my house who
Right.
should not have been there.
They're not necessarily guessed.
Right. It was rather inappropriate for me to have her there.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Where's the ring?
I lost the ring.
Did you buy her a new one?
As a matter of fact, I did, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Corey Howard claims ex-girlfriend Christina Yancey keyed his truck and vandalized his home. Corey also says Christina owes him for the value of a ring.
So let me hear about it.
As far as he's saying about he had a female guest there was no one there but my best friend, Shantae, and Mr. Howard.
So what were you angry about? You did go for a ride with this young lady.
I didn't go for a ride anywhere. I stayed there, and then I left. I went to the store. I came back.
And when you came back, they wouldn't let you in.
They wouldn't let me in.
Why do you think they wouldn't let you in?
I have the slightest idea.
You have to have some idea, madam, otherwise they're acting in a psychotic fashion.
Well, there was another car. It was the car there. When I left, the car wasn't there. But when I came back, the car was there. It was another car there.
Another car there that you suspected was a woman's car?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Well, that, something must have been going through your mind, madam. You're banging at the door with sufficient force to break a window. They won't let you in the house. You must have been pretty annoyed. He was your boyfriend, right?
You're right.
Okay. Did you ever have a discussion with her about the tire?
As a matter of fact, I did. And
I assumed that you did. Yeah. Let me about the discussion about the tire.
Yes. And she said, the reason why I cut your tire was because you wouldn't answer the door.
Sounds right.
You know, and
Sounds right. Sounds right. Okay. I have the tire here on your side, sir.
Yes.
Let's get to the ring.
Okay. The very day that she purchased the bracelet that she's wearing right now, she said to me...
You were shopping together?
Yeah, we were shopping together.
Okay, so you went into a jewelry store.
We went into a jewelry store.
That's always dangerous.
Which was owned by one of my friends, okay?
Yes.
And she says, I want to buy... I had given her like $300 that particular day. And she said she
You gave her $300 in cash?
Yes, ma'am, while we were shopping, because we split up in the mall, so I gave her $300.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That was nice of you.
I was very nice to her, Your Honor. And what happened was, she came in the jewelry store, and she saw that very bracelet that she's wearing right now, and I says, I can't afford it, I'm buying me a ring. You know, I said, I gave you some money, so you buy it. So she went in her pocket and bought that bracelet. At the time, she says, oh, I want that ring right there. I can't afford that ring. I said, but if you split the cost with me, I will buy the ring. And she agreed to split the cost for the ring.
How much was the ring?
I think the ring was like a wholesale. I got the ring at a wholesale value, so I think it ended up being like $4 something. You know, but the retail value on it was like $1,000.
Okay, what the retail value is. How much did you pay for the ring?
I didn't pay anything, Your Honor. When we met up, he took me to the jewelry store. He had a diamond ring in his hand. He said, do you like this ring? I said, oh, yes, it's beautiful. He was like, do you want it? I was like, yes. He put it on my finger. He paid for the ring.
Well, he says he paid for the ring, but he says that that was sort of extra. He'd given you $300 and you saw something that you liked for over and above, and you said you'd split the cost with him.
This is what I saw that I liked it, the tennis bracelet, which was $99.
Right.
I paid for it out the money he bought me.
So you're wearing that, right?
You're
wearing the tennis bracelet. Where's the ring?
I lost the ring. And I told him that.
That's not what she told me, Your Honor. She indicated that she had placed the ring in a jewelry box in her room, and she said that her mother's boyfriend had went into the room and stole the ring when she was not at home. And I said, how did your mom's boyfriend steal the ring when you're not at home?
Did you buy her a new one?
As a matter of fact, I did, Your Honor. As a matter of fact, I did buy her a new one.
What?
thought you were psychic.
Says that here.
So I went back to my friend Tony and I said, Tony, you know that ring I bought? I said, do you have another one just like it? Well, of course, this ring was a very nice ring.
All right, so you got her another one.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's the other one that he got you?
It's at home, Your Honor.
Uh-huh. She didn't offer to pay for half of that one.
No, she didn't, Your Honor.
All right. All right, so far what I have on your side, sir, it's $148.47. Because if you were really interested in getting half the money back for this original ring that you bought, you wouldn't have bought her another one, right?
No, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, well, it's necessarily true. So on your side is $148.47 because she slashed your tire. Madam. Okay. Now that takes care of that case. Now, I want you to stand over there.
Okay.
You to sit down over there. And I would like Miss Catherine Yancey right over there. Party's been sworn?
They've already been sworn, Judge.
Good, thank you. Now, you're her mother.
Yes.
It is your complaint that Mr. Howard vandalized your house and later set it on fire. And that, according to you, happened on the 6th of June.
Yes.
Of 2000. So, let me hear about it.
I came home from a meeting approximately 9:30 in the evening. My daughter told me that Corey Howard came to my house looking for her, said that he broke my front window. He went to the car and got a tire iron or hammer or something and broke the front window. So I was going to the police station to make a report, and he pulls up on the side street. So I pulled next to him to ask him, why does he keep coming to my house? Why does he keep coming around? He said that he wanted everything that he ever bought for that bee. Specifically, he wanted this ring. So I asked her where the ring was. She told me she lost the ring. He said that she told him that my boyfriend stole the ring. And I told him that that was ridiculous. I didn't want to hear anymore because there's no way that my boyfriend would steal a ring.
She's a fibber, you know, your daughter. She's a fibber.
Okay, well, I know my boyfriend would not
No,
steal
I
a ring.
understand that.
So I took off to go to the police station. He followed me on my bumper, you know, trying to intimidate me. We continued to the police station to make the report. When I came home from the police station, my deck had been set on fire. Neighbor across the street said he saw
Don't
it.
tell me what your neighbor across the street said unless that person is here to testify. Step up next to your mother, please. Let me just hear about the broken window.
Well, me and Corey, he called, and he was like, you know, do you want to hook up? And I was like, no. He's like, why? Asking me why, and my phone hung up on him. I was on the porch with my neighbor at the time. He pulled up. I ran in the house because I didn't know what he was going to do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And she says, you didn't have to give me the money for the abortion because my real baby daddy gave me the money for the abortion.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Yancey claims her daughter's ex-boyfriend, Corey Howard, broke into her home and set fire to her deck.
And then what happened?
He's ringing the doorbell. B, come out of here. You better bring your butt out of here. Cussing, just making a lot of ruckus. I'm looking out the window from my room, and I see Corey pop his trunk and get like a tire thing out. He proceeded to walk towards the house with this thing in his hand. At that point, I ran out the back door, over the fence and next door to my neighbor's house. When I was outside, I heard a slash noise. Finally, when he did pull off, I went back to my house next door. My mother's stained glass window was broken.
Did you do that?
No, ma'am, I did not break the window. As a matter of fact, on the particular day that she claims that I broke the window, I was in a staff meeting with all 4 of my sales managers on that particular day.
So you're telling me that not only didn't you break her window, but you didn't see her mother that day either. So her mother's lying too. You didn't even see her mother?
I did see her mom that day.
Driving away from her house?
No, I was not driving away from her house when I saw her mother.
Where were you?
Okay, as a matter of fact, maybe I should just tell how all of this originated. I was out on vacation, all right? Christina called me the whole time I was in New Orleans, okay? Christina says, I'm pregnant. I want you to give me $300 to have an abortion. I said, Christina, I'm not giving you anything, okay? First of all, because I'm not the only person you're sleeping with, okay? On this particular day, Christina called me, and she says, I just called you to tell you that you didn't have to give me the money for the abortion because my real baby daddy gave me the money for the abortion. I said, hey, ain't no problem, wasn't no sweat off my back. You understand what I'm saying? Even though I was angry and infuriated, okay, I was just really upset, you know. I passed by her house. I was on the phone with Christina. We got into an argument. I did not break the window. I did not set their house on fire or whatever.
You get a
it is.
house on fire. There are no witnesses to you setting a house on fire. She says she saw you break the window.
I did not break a window.
Did you bang on her door?
As a matter of fact, I did not, Your Honor, because I never went to her house. I'm not going to lie.
As a matter of fact, okay. How much did it cost you to fix the window?
I haven't had the window fixed yet.
So you have no estimate?
Yeah, I have estimates of the fire damage.
I'm not interested in the fire damage. You have no witnesses with regard to the fire damage.
Okay, what I do have is police reports where my witnesses did give a report to the police.
That's insufficient in court. What's sufficient is that you have a witness.
And I also have phone numbers that they said you may be able to call. Both of the witnesses are there.
No. That's a far too serious issue to make a determination by picking up a phone.
Will you not take the police report with arson report?
Oh, absolutely not. Did they arrest him?
No, they won't arrest him.
Of course they won't arrest him. If you had a witness that the police found believable that witnessed him committing arson, they would have arrested him. Arson is a very, very serious felony. Do you understand? You have an estimate for the window.
It has the fire and the window. Repair front stained glass window,
Yeah,
yes.
that I'll see.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
The stained glass window was $75. Listen, I don't think that either one of you two young people would know the truth if it came up and bit you in the behind. I think that when you come to court and you testify in a court, the judge is supposed to be able to make a determination based on truthfulness. That's a hard thing when it comes to you two. However, I do find, madam, that you slashed his tire, and therefore he is getting the $148 that he spent to fix the tire that you slashed. And I do find, sir, that you broke a window. I can't make a determination that you committed arson, although that would be a really serious crime. But I do find that you did, in fact, break a window, and according to the estimate from our insurance, it's going to cost $75. So in your case, I'm awarding you $75, and on your case, sir, $148.47. Thank you. This case is over.
Now, this is case number 185 on the calendar in the matter of Dantzler versus McCullough. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated and have a seat, please.
Ms. Dantzler, you, according to your complaint, met the defendant through a dating service.
Yes.
That was sometime in the beginning of May of this year?
Yes.
And while on a sort of date, I guess, at your house, also in May,
Yes.
you claim that he, after some sort of a disturbance, destroyed your apartment.
Exactly.
So first tell me, what was he doing at your apartment?
Well, first, the reason why he was at my apartment was we had spent the day on doing personal items for himself. The defendant explained to me that he was totally blind and that he was looking for a companion, basically to help him do some of his banking, shopping. So
he wasn't interested in a date, he was interested in a caretaker.
Right, and that was one thing that he explained to me in the beginning, and I explained to him also in the beginning that I was going to be leaving Texas to return to California permanently, so I would try to assist you as much as I can.
Why would you do that? Was he going to pay you for this work?
No, I call myself being a good Samaritan, to try to help him out. I know, knuckleheaded me, you know.
Did you sign up for this dating service?
No, it's something that is offered free for women, but the men has to pay for the service. You leave a voicemail with a description on yourself, and they'll call and leave you a message.
Okay. And you had to pay for this service, sir?
Yes.
How much did you have to pay? I'm just curious.
This right here, this rate here was $17 for 7 days.
Okay. And you were not looking for a date, you were looking for somebody to sort of help you out with chores and things?
No, this what I was looking for, a companion, just a CNI companion, just to do this here for youth program that I had to testify, because how I lost my eyesight 4 years ago, it's a mystery because my car pulled up from my cousin's barbecue restaurant.
No. I just, don't go back so far, please. Just tell me, were you looking for a date or were you looking for somebody to help you out with your chores?
I was looking for a companion just to help me find a studio to do some gospel mystery
Just a
music
second. So you will look.
ministry.
I got it. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got together and you did some chores for him that day. What
Right.
day was that? May what?
That was May 19th.
Okay. So you're doing some chores with him.
And the chores were, I took him to the bank, and I assisted him to walk him up to the teller, help him withdraw some money. I went to the grocery store. And all the while, I'm leading him around like he's a blind person. And since he was constantly telling me that he was, never eating, I decided to fix dinner, and I fixed dinner for him.
So then you invited him back to your apartment.
Right. And during that course of the time, I was reading over the items that he wanted me to read as far as, the mail that he had received. So in that process, I was beginning to see some things that maybe this person is not as blind as he said, because he actually told me what color shirt I had on. Now, I know the difference between being totally blind and being legally blind. My mother before passing was legally blind, so I know you can see figures, shapes, some shadows. But if you're totally blind, you're not going to be able to see anything.
Okay. So you're reading over his mail and he told you what color shirt you were wearing, and then what happened?
Then when he told me what color shirt I had on, I began to question him actually on how well can he see. And I asked him, I says, well, has the state declared you being legally blind, or did the state declare you being totally blind? Because I know there is a difference. Because if you're legally blind...
Okay.
Okay.
So you asked him that question.
Right.
And what did he say?
He said that he was declared totally blind.
Okay. So, next.
So, after doing dinner, he had a couple of beers, he kind of fell asleep on the couch. And at that time, I told him, I said, well, it's about time for me to get ready to take you home. So I tapped him on the shoulder because he was ignoring me. So when I tapped him on the shoulder, he pulled me down and he began to touch me inappropriately. And during that time, when he was doing so, I got angry. I walked out of my apartment. I was standing on the patio. I'm like, man, here it goes again. And when I went back in, he was in my room. So when I went in my room, I wanted to do the same thing that he did to me. So I pulled out one of my little play toys and tried to up him like he tried to things up me. So in that process, that's when the fight began. Well,
First of all, hold up. She got these 2 weekends combined together.
You'll have your turn. Just wait one moment, sir. Go ahead.
Well, in that process, as I walked out of the room, I slapped him upside the head. And I told him, I want you out of here. I said, even though that I picked you up, I'm going to call you a cab so you can go home, because I don't think you're as blind as you're saying that you are. And he's like, well, go ahead on, call a cab. So I called the cab, and in the process of waiting for the cab, he's saying, well, I ain't no punk. And he tried to pick up my couch and tried to lift it and flip it. So what I did, I pushed it down to keep him from flipping it. So then he walks over, and this is all without his blind man's cane. Now, he had only been in my apartment twice. Now, for a person that is totally blind, why wasn't he bumping into things? So in the process, he walks over to the TV and flips over the TV. So in the process of when he flips over the TV, I got on the phone with 911 because I wanted him out of here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Yes, could you call the police over here right now? Yes, sir. 911 right now. Could you come over here real quick? Give me the phone. Give me the phone. Please. Hurry up, please.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lillian Dantzler says former friend Michael McCullough trashed her apartment in a fit of rage. Michael says he's blind and he accidentally knocked a few things over.
What happened next?
And when I called 911, all in the process, I'm watching him walk over to the picture that I had on the wall, and I have pictures of my apartment, of how my apartment was before it was destroyed and after it was destroyed.
Let me see them, please.
He trashed it. Totally trashed it.
Now, what happened when the police arrived?
When the police arrived, he was standing out on the balcony, hollering and screaming to the neighbors downtown about, I'm going to tell the police that you were one of the persons that, shot me in my head, And all the while, he was just ranting and raving. And when the police arrived...
Did the police take him into custody?
Yes, he was arrested.
You have a police report?
I sure do.
Can I see it, please?
And to me, as I was watching him destroy it, and there's no way in the world a blind man gonna see speakers that I had on a vaulted ceiling. I watched him jump and pull them down. He pulled down the patio blinds. As he went from the patio blinds, he went to my baker's rack, and I had speakers over my baker's rack. He hopped to pull it down, and when he pulled a picture off a wall, he stepped on it. He flipped my coffee table, and as he trashed the living room, he went right on over to the dining room. When he went to the dining room, he flipped over the glass top that was on the table, and on that table, I had a box of crystal items that I was getting ready to pack on that table. So the crystal items that were in that box was totally shattered. And I watched this individual take a chair, Your Honor, and throw it at my mirror. The mirror that was sitting behind the the dining table. Now, if you're totally blind, how are you going to know that there is a mirror that's up on the wall behind the dining table?
What happens to the case in court?
Well, right now it's been dismissed.
Why is that?
Well, from what I understand, when I was there, I was not notified and I didn't show.
What happened to your arrest, sir?
First of all, when the police came and got me, they seen me standing out there and told me to raise my hand up, make sure I didn't have no weapons on me. So they came up there and then came and asked me for an ID. I reached in my pocket and gave my ID. And the first thing they said, we need to identify you. And the reason I got arrested, they came to me and said, where is these warrants that's out for your arrest? These warrants should have been dropped 2 years ago. And I went to jail and stayed there 5 days and went to the court for arraignment. They came to me and said, well, this is a criminal mischief. You'll be from $2,000 up to $22,000 bond. They gave me $2,000 bond. Then the arraignment judge pushed that to the side and then had to pay a dime on that bond to get out of jail.
What happened to this case, this criminal mischief case?
I went to court and sitting there, and like I said, she didn't even show up. And they just came and told me, Mr. McCullough, and said a few things. The only thing I know, he said it was dismissed. And I just stood up and just thanked my Father God for his goodness for I had to go through all this stuff.
When was it dismissed, sir?
August 18th, last month.
Now, Ms. Danzler has told me her version of the events. Clearly, you destroyed her apartment. I mean, I have photographs, sir. You don't deny that you destroyed her apartment. Is that right?
Now, hold up. Let me get this organized here. First of all...
No, before you answer my question. You don't deny that you destroyed her apartment. Is that right? You couldn't give me the reason.
I did not destroy that apartment.
All right, so tell me what you didn't do.
What's he talking about? Throwing chair, how can if I'm blind and I can't see and stuff, throw a chair up against a mirror?
And that is...
And the first, let me start how all this started while I left out that room. Because first of all, she came and got me out that car for sitting there listening to the video, walked me in the room, and first thing she said was, Michael, you want to get some of these crystal pills, talking about using some drugs, and had the ecstasy pills laying on the table, and she trying to get me to use, so I denied that. Then I heard
so she tried to get you, she asked you if you want,
ecstasy,
Mr. McCullough, she asked you if you wanted to use drugs, you said no.
Yes.
Next, what happened next?
Next, I heard a no. I said, what's that? She said, this is Leroy. I said, who is Leroy? Talking about a vibrator. And then it vibrated, then I'm like, oh my goodness. And she touched me on my leg with it, on my pants leg. And I'm like, Bonnie, what's up with this?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She can't touch this, touch this. I said, what? She said, feel it, feel it. I felt something right in front of my chest. I stuck my hand down and she had a top full of marijuana. She trying to get to deceive me and tempt me to smoke this weed.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lillian Dantzler says Michael McCullough lied to her about being blind and then made sexual advances. She says when she turned him down, he trashed her apartment.
What happened next?
Then I felt her hand around my back. And then I just denied that, told her just get on and leave me alone. So then, right after that, Your Honor, she said, Michael, do you want to go on the balcony and smoke a joint? And then I said, I just let her out, and then she just left. And then, Your Honor, she can't touch this, touch this. I said, what? She said, feel it, feel it. I felt something right in front of my chest. I stuck my hand down and she had a top full of marijuana and my index finger went 2/3 off of this weed and I stood up and she trying to get to deceive me and tempt me to smoke this weed. And then she come handing me my wallet, telling me I'm finna call her taxi. And how did she get my wallet? So evidently she got my wallet out my pants by that vibrator to get on my pants leg and sticking her hand in my pocket. And then, and she told me, Michael, I'm gonna call 911. I said, call him. And I said, give me that phone. And that's when I stepped, my left leg hit that
Your
table.
Honor.
My left leg hit that table. I extended my arm and it hit that picture shifted. My arm went down. I felt the wire. And then when I went down, I heard the speakers, they was on, but when I hit that wire, they shut down. And then I know where I was at, and I moved to the right, and I balanced myself on the couch, and that's when I reached down and grabbed my cane and extended it. Because when I came to her house, that's when I first walked the door, that's where that couch was. So I went around there to the edge, positioned myself, and walked straight out that door. And within 5 minutes, how can I lift up couches, throw chairs and mirrors? And I was out there in 5 minutes because she was trying to get me to use drugs and to get these drug dealers to come out there and tempt me. Well, like I said, I lost my eyesight. Somebody shot me point blank in the head, and the doctors told the police and my family it was close range. The oxygen in my brain is gone. The bullet is still in my brain now. It hit my optic nerve, and they said in 4 to 6 hours, and I'll be dead. And they turned that life support machine off. And I was sitting there. The suspect never been found.
Okay,
the police kept my car for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Found no evidence I got shot in that car.
Okay.
That's what's going to have me go back and search to that street life who shot me. That's
Okay, Mr. McCullough.
God got everything under control.
Okay. You have a tape there that you want me to
Honey,
hear?
I have the 911 tape where you can hear him exactly trashing it.
Okay, let me hear it.
Yes, could you call the police? The police over here right now, because this guy's over here. He acts like he's blind. He's over here tearing up my stuff out of the house. Okay, could you come over here real quick? Right now. He's tearing up everything out of my apartment. Let me give me the phone. Give me the phone. Please. Please, hurry up and get him out of here. Hurry up, please. He's tearing up everything in here.
And you can hear him tear.
He's tearing up everything. He's black. He's about 6'3". Please hurry up. Okay. He just trashed up everything. He's tearing up everything in my bedroom. He's tearing up everything. Why is he mad at you, man? Because I wouldn't have sex with him. He done tore up everything in my apartment. And I want him arrested.
I think that speaks for itself, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Anything else you want to say, Mr. McCullough?
Yes, on that tape, what was I saying? Give me that phone, because I made the decision to call 911 to get the police to come take me home. And if there was that much damage done at the apartment, why the police didn't tell me when they didn't read me no rights or nothing when they arrested me? They say the reason they were taking me downtown was causing them Fort Worth traffic ticket. And I would have told the police to find that marijuana print, and I would have told them where my fingerprint was at.
Mr. McCullough, pay careful attention to me. They weren't taking you downtown because of outstanding warrants. The reason that you were arrested that evening, sir, is because you had, in fact, trashed her apartment. All these other warrants didn't become known to the police until after you got to the police station. Do you understand me?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I got, It was right there at that place. They said the 5 traffic tickets right there on the spot. As soon as they got my ID, it wasn't there at the arraignment as a judge. It was before I even went to jail. They told me what I was going down for.
Well, were they your warrants on the ticket, sir?
Yes, back in March 95 and 96.
They were. So how come you didn't pay those tickets?
Because 6 months later, after June 96, that's when somebody shot me in the head. And
Well, but you still owe them on the tickets, sir.
I know.
So what'd you wait 6 months for to pay the tickets? You knew there were warrants outstanding for you, if I believe you.
I didn't know they were warrants then, because I didn't know warrants until it was in the hospital. The police told my family they went to warrant. They didn't see.
All right, Mr. Dantzler, there is no question in my mind that Mr. McCullough, despite the fact that some strange things went on in your apartment, that Mr. McCullough damaged your apartment to the extent that I've seen in the photographs. There is also no question in my mind, madam, that the original invoice that you gave to the police, which is clearly detailed, does not rise to the $5,000 that you're suing Mr. McCullough, that you are suing Mr. McCullough for. You gave the police a complete detail, including miscellaneous items that you have in the last section, miscellaneous small things, and that comes to $2,454. I am entering a judgment on your behalf in that amount. Thank you.
Your Honor, this is case number 206 on the calendar in the matter of McMahon versus McCarthy. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have seats, please.
Mr. McMahon, according to the complaint that I read, you and the defendant leased an apartment to live together. When you moved into the apartment, you put down half the security deposit. You also purchased some old furniture together. When you separated, you did not receive your security deposit back, nor the value of half the furniture that you purchased. That's what you want.
That's
right?
correct, Your Honor.
The defendant says this is pretty much a joke because you really owe her money and she has a counterclaim.
Mm-hmm.
When did you lease this apartment?
I believe it was in July of '98, June or July.
And how long did you live together?
On and off for probably a year and a half.
When did you finally separate?
About probably 5 months ago, permanently.
And how long did you actually live in the apartment?
I actually lived in the apartment full-time for approximately 2 months before I got thrown out the first time.
And then you moved back?
And then I moved back.
Well, so let's have all the months together that you actually lived there.
Probably 4 months straight, on and off for probably a year and a half.
And how much was your security deposit that you put down?
$150.
Now, tell me about this furniture that you purchased together.
First, we bought a washer and dryer. I paid $75. She paid $75.
Okay. What's next?
The next is the furniture, which her aunt was selling, and again, we each paid $75 for the furniture.
No, we did not.
You'll have your
That's
chance.
wrong, Your
You'll have
Honor.
your chance. So that is $275 and $150, $425. How did you pay your half of the rent, which comes to her counterclaim?
With a check.
With checks?
I wrote my checks out to her.
Let me see them.
I don't have them. She packed all my stuff up.
He packed it all himself.
Mr. McMahon.
That's not true.
See, the problem is, she says that you lived together a total of 6 months. You say 4 months. The defendant says that you only paid rent for 2 of those months.
That is correct. But the only reason I paid for the first 2 months because I lived there full time. She threw me out. I had to go move into a whole nother place. And we were broken up. We started seeing each other again, and I had a separate residence.
But then you moved back in, even according to you.
Right, okay.
Sir, listen to me. Then you moved back in, at least according to you, for another 2 months on an apartment where you had a lease.
Right.
And you did not pay rent for those 2 months.
Yes, I did.
No, he didn't.
No, you just told me you didn't pay rent for those 2 months. You said you only paid rent for 2 months.
I wasn't living there full time. I was only spending 2 nights out of the week there. I already moved out into a whole nother place.
No, Mr. McMahon, now you're making that up as you're going
I am
along. You
not,
just said
Your
to me,
Honor.
you
Oh, I'm
said to
nervous.
me a
Don't-
moment ago, of the year and a half that you were together, you lived there 4 months, but you only paid rent for 2 months out of the 4.
No, while I was there, if I stayed there for a full month, I would pay for half of that month. If I only spent
That's
a
not
couple...
what you just told me.
Well, excuse me, Your Honor. I'm a little confused. It was...
Well, let's not get confused, sir.
But I went and got a separate residence, and then we started dating again. I would spend the weekend over there and then go back during the week to my own residence.
He never got his own residence until after the second time I threw him out. He lived with his father after the first time.
Okay, let's talk about the expenses that you say he owes you, Miss McCarthy. Let me hear.
Well, Your Honor, most of what he has said was correct. He was there May and June. I found he was cheating on me and I threw him out. We reconciled and he moved back in October, and he was there October, November, and December, and it was shortly after Christmas, 1998, or maybe even after the first of the year,
That's not
where I
true
threw him
either.
out for the second time. He was coming up with all these excuses why he couldn't help me out with the rent, and never paid anything. The day I threw him out, I went to do some laundry, and he had a bad habit of keeping his papers in his pants. I would check his pockets for papers, and I found a receipt for some car stereo equipment that he purchased the day before. And that's when all heck broke loose, and I threw
Why?
him out.
Why?
Because he kept claiming that he had no money to help me out. You know, he was getting speeding tickets, he was paying for the speeding tickets, he bought $1,000 rims for this Mustang that he owned. The heat would be up to 80 degrees, and he wasn't even there.
All right, so now, I got it.
I was on the lease, though. I'm entitled to turn my own heat up.
Just a second.
But he
I got
wasn't paying for it, Your
I
Honor.
got
That's
it.
not
I
true.
understand the whole scenario. Now, my next question to both of you is, clearly, according to you, October, November, and December of 19
98.
98 is when you, in December is when you threw him out ultimately?
Yeah, it was a little after Christmas, maybe even after the first of the year.
Okay, and did he ever move back in?
No.
Why haven't you sued him for the amounts that you claim he owes you?
Well, initially, Your Honor, we got back together around Valentine's Day in 1999.
So you were back together?
Yes, we did. We never moved. He never moved back in. I still live there today.
But in February of 1999, you sort of got back together. How?
He invited me to dinner, bought me a couple dozen roses, and schmoozed his way back in like he always did.
All right. And how long did that schmoozing last?
On and off for about a year. We had a verbal agreement in between all this because he was upset about the furniture. He threatened to cut it up if he had to in order for him to get his half of it. And once we did get back together, we made a verbal agreement that I was to keep the furniture in my apartment because he hadn't helped me for those 3 months. And that was well and good for us.
Made that agreement.
And all of a sudden I get this lawsuit, and so I said, well, the heck with it. I'm going to just get my money that he owes me.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. So you were prepared to say, forget it,
yes, I
moved
was.
on. Now, Mr. McMahon, I'm going to ask you the same question, sir. What took you so long to file this lawsuit?
We got engaged.
Yes.
She wanted me to move back in. I said, no, not until some issues are resolved.
And when did that engagement terminate?
On my birthday.
What date?
January 30th. I wasn't just going to jump into a lawsuit until I had some time
You
to
should
deal
have
with what I was
jumped into the
feeling.
lawsuit a year and a half ago.
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right.
You're absolutely right. If you believe that she honestly owed you this money, half of a washer and dryer for $75 and a lot of furniture for $75.
It's not the money. It's got nothing to do with the money.
So what does it have to do with?
Your Honor, we had a 3-bedroom apartment. Out of all 3, each bedroom had a closet. I had a quarter of one closet in the master bedroom.
So does my husband.
And I had 2.
And let me tell you, he's a happy man.
And I had 2 drawers. I had
Just a
2
second.
drawers. I couldn't even put my clothes in there.
He has 2 drawers. Men are lucky if they have a quarter of a closet. No, they have 1 drawer.
And another thing.
Women need more drawers.
And another thing.
And
Your
more
Honor.
closet space.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She took over the whole apartment.
That's what ladies do. They make a nest.
What about me?
My husband knows he can decorate anything in his quarter of the closet.
I didn't get
Period.
And later today,
He shove-kicked me to my growing area, and I didn't do anything.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daniel McMahon says ex-girlfriend Michelle McCartney won't return his furniture or his share of the deposit on their apartment.
Have you ever been married?
No.
That's a very good lesson I'm going to teach you. Don't expect more than a quarter of a closet. Right? If you expect more, never get married.
Okay, and another thing. January 30th, which was my birthday, which was one of the last big
More than
fights.
a quarter of a closet?
A quarter of a closet's
Judge,
ridiculous.
I've been married for 13 years.
Yeah.
I don't even have a quarter of a closet.
The whole apartment had her family all over the wall. I couldn't put any. I had no entity in there at all.
You mean you
No,
couldn't have a
nothing.
picture of your mother or your grandmother up?
The walls were full. I couldn't do nothing.
Mr. McMahon.
I'm serious. She took over the whole apartment.
Mr. McMahon.
I had no rights in nothing.
That's what ladies do. They make a nest.
We need.
Here,
There
let me
should be a
explain
little
something
bit
to
of
you.
compromise.
Let me
though,
explain
and there was
something to you.
not.
That's what happens. They make a nest. Right?
What about me?
My husband knows he can decorate anything in his quarter of the closet.
I didn't get.
Period.
I had to step
Don't move
over.
a lamp.
I had to
Don't
step
move a
over shoes
picture.
to get to my quarter of the closet.
Get over
Her
it.
shoes.
Listen to me. Your lawsuit, Mr. McMahon, is nonsense. And so is your counterclaim. Nonsense! 2.5 years ago, you started a relationship. You moved into an apartment together. It didn't work out. Your entire investment was at most $425, which includes $150 for some old furniture and an old washer and dryer. How many times did you use the washer and dryer? I want you to think very carefully. How many times did you take clothes, like sheets and towels, from the bathroom and from the beds, take them, put them in the washing machine, wait till it was finished, take it out, put it in the dryer, and fold it up? How many times did you do that?
Plenty of times. If I wasn't being thrown out that week, I was doing laundry. Without
If
a
you
doubt.
weren't being thrown, you were doing laundry?
Yeah.
Is that
I
right?
used to do her work
Is that
clothes
right?
for her. Everything
he was
else.
doing the laundry?
Some.
He was doing the
Few and far between. I was mostly doing all of our laundry. But yes, it was used for his clothes, which he had.
I didn't ask you it was used for his clothes. I'm talking about sheets and towels and stripping the beds. And
oh, I did all that. I could hardly even get him to make the bed, never mind strip it.
I'm talking about stripping the beds and putting the sheets in and putting the sheets back on the bed. Who did that?
I did all that.
You did that?
Yeah.
Well, you were honest about the other thing he did to his own work clothes. Who did the cleaning in the apartment?
I did everything. I did everything, Your Honor.
Like what? I mean, who scrubbed the bathroom floor? Who scrubbed the kitchen floor?
I did. I wouldn't even let him do the dishes because he would do them in a half-mannered way and they would be all greasy, so I'd have to redo them anyway. That was his lame excuse for not being able to do anything because he didn't know how.
It's called learned helplessness. You do it wrong so nobody asks you to do it again.
That's not
Mr.
true at
McMahon, is it accurate that the housework was done by the defendant?
You know what? I didn't spend enough time in that apartment to clean anything. If you want the real deal.
You spent some time there, sir. According to you, you spent a couple of months there straight. And in addition to the couple of months there straight, 2 or 3 days a week when you were going to your own place. So you were there long enough to dirty the kitchen, dirty the bathroom, dirty the tub, dirty all those things.
If I dirtied something, I cleaned it.
That's that. I've heard that before. Mr. McMahon, your lawsuit is nonsense, and so is your counterclaim. They're both dismissed. Get over it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
One of us was obligated to continue paying that lease, and I did, and I have been paying it ever since. He paid 2 months, and he was on a lease for a year.
He wanted me to pay it while I was living in it.
Oh, well.
I didn't get treated fair in the relationship from Jump Street, and, you know, I got taken advantage of.
And now the next case.
All parties on Sias versus Graham. Step forward, please.
55-year-old Asian arts instructor Ted Sias is suing 19-year-old carpet installer William Graham for assaulting him while riding his bike.
According to your complaint, Mr. Sias, you were riding your bike to work. What kind of work do you do?
I teach internal health arts in Huntington Beach.
In a school?
Yes, ma'am.
And a car that was being driven by one of these two young men
Mr. Graham.
somehow passed by you, and he shouted something out the window, which made you angry.
It startled me. Scared
Startled
me.
you.
Yes.
So you got angry.
Yes.
And what you did in response was to ride your bike on an overpass where you were, and when you saw his car passing under the underpass, you picked up a rock and threw it at his car.
Yes, ma'am, but it was actually a pebble, and I brought the approximate size that I dropped.
Pebble, rock, you threw a something at his car.
Yes.
That made Mr. Graham very angry,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And you got off the expressway to find him,
Yes, ma'am.
because you saw him do it.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a confrontation. And that's what this lawsuit is about, because you said that during the course of that confrontation, Mr. Graham injured you and broke your bike.
Yes.
So let's start out. You're pedaling along, going to work. His car comes alongside you, and what does he say to you?
It wasn't him. It was his passenger that screamed at me.
What did his passenger say?
I don't know. It was just a holler, a very loud holler. I wasn't.
Which startled you.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what did you do?
Well, I about fell off my bike. Then I picked up this little pebble, and I was thinking about dropping it. And when they pulled around, then he gave me the birdie. That was it. That's all it took to send me the rest of the way. So I did drop it. I wasn't dropping the pebble to cause damage. I was dropping the pebble as more of an act of, you do this to me, I do this to you, but I wasn't striving for revenge. I lost my head.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything to you, sir, that involved any physical touching.
I think
His
it's
passenger
Yes, ma'am.
said something to startle you.
I think it's an accumulation of years of riding and getting people throwing things at me and hollering at me. I guess that one time I've been tired. I was riding my bike for 12 miles that day. I just lost it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You see the passenger?
Yes, he was, ma'am.
Did you do that? Stop! Right there.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ted Sias says William Graham assaulted him while out riding his bike. William claims Ted threw a rock at his car.
What was the first thing that was said?
I asked him, ma'am, I said, why did you throw a rock in my car? He then got off his bike, and he says, well, you know, you screamed at me. And I'm like, who screamed at you?
Well,
you know,
it's clear he didn't scream at you. Just a minute. He didn't scream at you.
Yes, ma'am, he did.
Somebody else did. Go ahead.
It could have been possible that we had been goofing around, laughing, whatever, you know, the case may be in the car, what you do with
Whatever. Somebody in your car
Yeah.
spooked him. Right?
That must have happened somehow. It wasn't intentional.
Was he the passenger?
Yes, he was, ma'am.
Did you do that? Up! Right there. Right where the finger is. Did you do that to the bike rider?
I was...
No, look at me.
I'm sorry. I was singing in the car, yelling, having a good time, not yelling at anyone out of the car, intentionally.
Did you realize you had startled him?
No.
Now sit down. Go ahead.
Okay, so then he pushes me once. I push his hand down. I say, don't touch me again. He pushes me again. I push his hand down, and after I push his hand down the second time, he shove kicked me to my groin area, and I didn't do anything. Then I was going to call the cops. He got on his bike like he was going to leave, and I said, where are you going? And he said, oh, I'm leaving now, like that, and he's like, you're wasting my time. I said, yeah, thanks a lot. I just got my car painted. I just got my car painted, and he dropped a rock and chipped on the roof of my car. And he says, well, now it just gives you something to do, doesn't it? He gets back off his bike, pushes me one more time. I push his hand down again, and then he kicked me harder in the same exact area, the same type of kick in the groin. And at that time, I grabbed his leg. He went to swing at me, and I hit him in the head, and then I hit him a couple more times. He fell over his bike, which was right behind him. Once he was on the ground, I held him down. This is all in a position where I had a broken collarbone at the time because I was in an accident maybe a month before at the most, and I had a cast on my hand from torn ligaments. So I was really in no position to be starting a fight.
What kind of accident? Car accident?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Sayers, you want to tell me your version of the events, sir?
Basically, he's saying something effective, you're going to pay for it, you're going to pay for it, or you're going to apologize. I can't remember which one or both. And he kept trying to get closer to me, and I kept telling him to stay away. I said it numerous times. I did what's called a push kick towards his groin. It was not meant to cause any pain. He says, what was that?
But you did do that.
I did do that, yes, I did.
And he hadn't put his hands on you yet.
He was kept getting...
No. He had not put his hands on you.
No, ma'am, not yet. I did what I could, which was non-lethal. I pushed towards his face to make him lean back to go away. I pushed towards his groin.
He didn't kill you either, Mr. Sayers. That's not lethal.
If you look at the picture, you'll see it's probably lethal. My face doesn't look too pretty. I probably got a birthmark that'll last me the rest of my life. You want?
Sure, I'll take a look.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's not lethal. Nasty, but not lethal.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You don't say anything in your complaint, Mr. Sayers, about your putting your hands on the defendant first. He's a young man, and very often people say, well, young kids, you know, they're going to lose their temper and they're going to get out of control. I think that it happens with men when they reach maybe age 50. You're not 50 yet, are you?
Nowhere near.
I know, they do have as sometimes what you describe as road rage. You went to the top of an overpass, you picked up a pebble. You say it was a very small pebble. It may have been, but certainly enough. If that falls on your car fast enough and shatters a windshield, that can cause you to lose control of the car, and it can cause you to go into a tree, another car, another person. It can cause very serious damage, injury, and can cause death. And then when he confronted you, when he stopped the car, which was his absolute right because he had done nothing to you, his partner over here maybe was singing too loud. Maybe he was trying to frighten you. Maybe he was acting like a jerk, which is possible, because I'm looking at him, and it's possible. But he didn't do anything to you. When he confronted you, instead of apologizing, you put your hands on him first, twice. And it looks to me, at the end of the day, you got the worst of it.
Obviously.
That's too bad. Your case is dismissed.
हेलो दोस्तों, ये एक खरगोश है जिसमें हम कलर करेंगे। तो देखिएगा हम कलर कैसे करते हैं। वीडियो पसंद आए लाइक करें, शेयर करें, कमेंट करें। गाइस, हमारा कलर कंप्लीट हो गया है। आपको कैसा लग रहा है हमें कमेंट करके ज़रूर बताएं।